died in the dirt so I could sit in traffic on Highway 65. When I think of her now, all that's left is the day that I drove out her light. And if I showed up tomorrow unannounced, I'd be staring at the face of someone else. Nevertheless, maybe I'll find a way. There's something inside of me that's telling me to go into the west, somewhere alone, only one life to live. I've given most of mine away, and all I can. So safe in myself, no one's afraid of dying when they're already dead. So at home in the dark, so afraid of the light, the beast asleep inside us, just waiting to become my old darkness. Here with me tonight, but a million stars are burning in the sky, racing the sun. Maybe I'll find a way. There's something inside of me that's telling me to go into the west, somewhere. Staring at the face of someone else. Maybe I'll find a way. There's something inside of me that's telling me to go into the west, somewhere alone, with only one life to live. Most of mine away, and all I can bear, I'll never know, but I know who I am now.
My friends, welcome. Give me a thumbs up if you hear me. We're about 30 seconds behind each other, so it'll be a little bit before I see your thumbs up, but I'm pretty sure that I can see my vocals here. I got a new setup here, so just hang with us today. I think we got it worked out. We've done a few lives with the UGS crew, so welcome. So glad to see you. This is our first live that we've done all year. It's our first, our last, and our only live that we've done all year. We've kind of pulled back from doing a lot of our lives, and we're doing them more for our UGS crew and that sort of thing. Great. Thanks for the thumbs up, everybody. Beautiful. We have 215 beautiful rock stars in here today. Love it. Thank you so much for the thumbs up for those that did it. And guys, we're going to have a blast today. I promise you that by the end of this, you're going to have so many ideas for absolutely blowing up your practice, okay? Blowing up your movement forward, moving the ball forward with playing guitar, okay? It has less to do with playing guitar than you think it does. It has much more to do with laying down a basis of understanding your why, what it is that why is it that you're playing guitar, understanding what to practice, what not to practice, taking the time considerations. We all have 24 hours in a day, so we all have limited amount of times. How cool would it be if we could take that amount of time that we're practicing on the guitar? Because I love practicing. If I could practice 8-10 hours a day, I would do it. But we all have other things, don't we, right? So if it were up to me, I'd be playing all day long. But alas, whatever amount of time that we're playing, whether it's a half hour or 8 hours, wouldn't it be great for us to get as much as we're putting into it back out, or more so? Today, friends, I promise you, you're going to walk away with things that are absolutely going to blow your mind in understanding stuff that's built on science, stuff that's, I hate that word anymore, dear Lord, but it's built on real stuff, okay? Not the other stuff, the fakery. It's built on legitimate science. It's also built on is it evidential? I forgot what it's called, but basically when you do something and then you see the proof happen, it's built upon that as well as lots of narrow science, okay? So we're gonna talk about all that stuff. There's broad stroke stuff and there's very defined stuff, because at the end of the day, right, we all have different genres, we all have different goals, we're all coming at it from a different place, different amounts of time that we can spend doing this. And so we're gonna be doing all that today, and I'm going to be taking your questions in real time. So let me riff a little bit at the beginning here, and then we'll get to the questions, and then I may riff a little bit more and we'll get to questions, but mainly in the beginning here, I'm going to be just kind of riffing, telling you, not riffing, but I've got some specific things I want to tell you and talk to you about. By the way, the two videos that you just watched just now, that's from my band, Gabriel the Bull. Very excited about that project and all that we're doing. And if you want to check that out, just anywhere, just search Gabriel the Bull on all the digital streaming platforms and video and that sort of thing. On YouTube, we have maybe 3 or 4 videos if you want to go see some other ones. And yeah, check it out. Check out the band. I'm very excited about it. Been in this band for a year and a half now, and it's every song that we do, I'm just blown away by it. I love it, and I'm just like a pig in crap, as my grandmother used to say. All right, so here we go. A few orders of business before we start. So there's the basic overview of what we're going to do. A few orders of business. If you check out the link in the description of this video, there's a couple links for you, and I'm bopping over there right now myself. The very first link, go there with me, because you might as well, because we're taking the time to do it. So if you look in the description of the video, which is just right underneath, right? In that description, you're going to see a link, and that's for a PDF. It's free. There's no trickery. You just click on it, you download it, and it's going to show you a lot of the stuff that we're talking about today, okay? There's a few pages there for you to read. I'm going to go over them really quickly for those folks that don't like to read or that feel that they don't have the time. At least I want you to get something from this, okay, if you're not going to read it. It's going to talk about the why. It's going to talk about specific practice, perfect practice versus just practice, those sorts of things. And then also some examples. So for instance, if you want to be a blues guitar player, some specific things that you might want to look at. If you're going to be, say, a campfire guitarist, campfire / singer-songwriter / open chords kind of classic song acoustic guy, that's the majority of you out there, then I have a specific plan for you as well. Now, I only put 2 of them out there because the different, for all the, let me see how many folks are watching now. For all the 257 folks that are watching at this moment and the thousands of people that will watch this video afterwards, we all have specific things that we're coming to the table with, okay? And I'm going to try to address those as broadly as I can so that you can drill down specifically, but I'm also going to take questions so we can drill down specifically, and then you'll be able to glean some ideas from that. Okay, so there's that. And so download that PDF right now because we're going to be going over that in just one moment, okay? Download that right now as I'm speaking here. And then also below that, you're going to see our holiday special. We do this once a year. It was almost going to go away. In fact, we sent an email out saying that it was going to go away because we had all intentions on us never, ever, 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 ever doing this again. And that's a lifetime membership. We were never going to do that again after this week. I put the kibosh on that because I've had enough people get into it, and I won't get into all the details, but essentially it's something that was very close to not being here. But again, we only do it one time a year, a special like this. So if you want to take advantage of it, it's literally $300 off today for a lifetime membership. If you take all the 1,100 lessons that are in there and what have you, it's going to be, I don't know, way less than 50 cents per lesson from me. Or a one-on-one lesson from me is like $300 in person, so or over the internet. So you do the math. It's pretty easy to figure out. You have lifetime access to me via the live streams, which we do 3 of those per month, and also you have instant email access to me via the platform. If you have questions about a video, particular thing that we're doing, you just leave it right there, and I answer that question. I do this every day, several times a day, actually. Okay, so there's that. Okay, I'm bopping back over to the video here because now what we're going to do is I'm going to talk about this PDF real quick because, why? Because there are things in this PDF that you need to know. And there are the things that we need to know before we get into talking specifics, okay? Very important that we get to that. All right, we've got 291 folks in here. So if you want to let other folks know, tweet it out, share it, what have you. Let them join the party. We're having a blast here today, and we're going to learn a ton of stuff. And I promise you, your playing is going to get a lot better very quickly because of the things that we're doing today if you implement them. If you first conceptualize them, understand them, and then put them into practice. Conceptualizing them is great. It's number 1. You got to do that. If you don't do that, you're never going to get to step 2, which is integrating them. So getting them to be part of you, to be part of your practice like anything else. If you say, hey, I just learned that eating a ton of cake is not healthy for my diet, or it's not healthy and I'm going to gain weight. Okay, if you just learned that tip, then that's great that you learned it, but you still got to not eat the cake, all the cake, in order for it to work, right? So those are the sorts of things we're going to be talking about. So I have this PDF open that you've already downloaded, you're looking at right now, and we're going to talk about it really quickly. I'm not going to read it to you because that's goofy. You can read it yourself. Practice makes perfect. Let's talk about this for a minute. We've heard this a bunch. Practice makes perfect. Does it? Well, it does if you're practicing the right stuff. Practice makes permanent, or perfect practice makes perfect, right? So what that means is this: whatever it is that we practice, whatever we do over and over and over again, we get good at. So if that means we get really good at sleeping in and waking up and eating cake and not working out and not practicing guitar, we're going to get great at that. We're going to be super good at that. But that may not be what you consider perfect. It's not what I consider perfect. So that's a kind of obnoxious, broad approach of what we're talking about here. But nonetheless, I find that when you get it in that big approach, then you can understand it in a smaller way, okay? So what I mean by this is, if you were to say, take the pentatonic scale and someone were to show this to you and say, hey, you practice this pentatonic scale, it's the number 1 scale that you're going to use throughout your playing for the rest of your life. True. But what happens if you're just playing it with your first finger or your first and your index finger or something? right? Or just or your first and second finger. If you're practicing it like that, it's like, yeah, you're practicing the scale, but you're not practicing it as well as you could. There's the devil's in the details. We need to know a little bit more. Or let's say you're a rhythm guitar player and someone says, hey, this is the most important scale that you're going to need in order to improvise. And you're like, okay, I guess I need to learn it. And so, and what I mean by that is this, you get YouTube videos and stuff like this all the time where they're like, you got to know this thing. And it's like, there's some context to it. If we don't know the context, then we're going to assume that we need to know the pentatonic scale. Well, if you're a rhythm guitar player and you never want to play lead, why are you spending any time whatsoever playing the pentatonic scale? I don't care how many gurus tell you that it's the right thing to do. If you're not going to use it, why are you learning it? Doesn't make any sense, right? If you're a carpenter and someone says, man, carpentry is only 10% of the job, really what's most important is, I mean, I'm just making numbers up here, is hanging the drywall. The drywall is the most important thing. That's 90% of the work. And you're like, well, I guess I need to learn to do drywall. Well, what happens if that's not your job? Your job is to create the frame, right? You're wasting time by doing the drywall. Somebody else who's good is going to do that. So this is important that we know this, right? Moving on to the next thing is, why do we want to play guitar, okay? And you can almost think about this like at the top of the pyramid. You could put this, why do we want to play guitar, at the top of the pyramid, okay? In fact, I could have put that first, but I put practice makes perfect in there before, so that you understand where it is that we're going, okay? So understanding why it is that you want to play guitar is everything. Some people out there are saying, what do you mean, why do I want to play guitar? It's fun. Great, that's good. But there's a ton of stuff that's fun, and that's not a very specific why. It's good that you want to play, but to understand why it is that you're really wanting to play guitar is everything. Why is that, Eric? Well, here's why. It's because if you are a guitar player who wants to play rhythm guitar, you have no desire to play lead, then you playing a bunch of riffs, playing a bunch of scales, and what have you, is you practicing, wasting time, because you're not ever going to play that thing. You're just going to play rhythm. I'm saying if you're somebody who just wants to play rhythm, and you're taking the time that you could be getting better at rhythm, and you're usurping that time with something that's different. It'd be like this was video games, or this was something else that wasn't rhythm guitar, right? If you're practicing these things, you're taking time that you could be using over here to play rhythm guitar. So answering the why do you want to play guitar is everything, and I talk about it here. Right now in the chat, this would be a great thing for folks that don't know what it is that they want to do with playing guitar. Put it in the chat what it is that you want to do with playing guitar, because that will help other people to see, oh, okay, that's what he means. So some people might say, I want to play lead guitar for my worship band at church. That's very specific, okay? I want to play lead guitar for my worship band at church. Something more broad might be, I want to be able to do everything. Okay, that's really broad. And even though that may seem like a really lofty goal, there's no hero in that if you can't break it down and actually do it. That's like saying, I want to be the richest person in the world. I want to be the most magnanimous, kindest person in the world. Well, that's great. Anybody can say that, but actually doing it's a whole nother story. So why even say it, right? So if you got something very broad that you're saying, it's not to say that you can't practice to that, but if you are planning on being the most prolific studio guitar player in the world and you're practicing for 15 minutes a day, I can tell you you're not going to get there, okay? And I can tell you honestly, and I'm a man who believes in unlimited possibilities, okay? But the reason I say you're not going to get there with 15 minutes a day is because your competition is spending 8 to 10 hours a day doing that. So unless you are so special and born with such a special gift, which I don't really believe in, not you specifically, but anybody, I believe we all have the ability to do anything that we desire to do if our desire is big enough and our why is big enough. So unless you're so special, that 15 minutes isn't going to cut it, because your competition's doing 40 times that in a day if they're practicing 10 hours a day, right? They're doing 40 times that. So that's your competition, all right? So go through that section on why it is that you want to play guitar. Read what folks are putting here in the chat about why it is that they want to play guitar, because it honestly has everything to do with everything that we are going to be doing here, okay? And it's going to help you so much, okay? If I'm a blues guitar player, and we'll talk about this as we delve through this. In fact, I won't even do it right now because we're going to come back to that, okay? Slow it down, break it down. We'll talk about this a little bit more, but I have some videos out there. This all has to do with psychology and breaking things down. But essentially, if somebody said, hey, I want you to learn, here's an example. I've been in many bands, in a band now, I've been in cover bands, and they're like, hey, I want to be in your band. Hey, I want you to be in our band. Yada, 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 yada. Here's our list. Here's 60 songs. Woo, 60 songs. Great. I go down the list. That's step one. I go down the list. I read them. Oh, okay, I know about half of these. Or I know some of these. Or here's a bunch of them I don't know, whatever. First thing I do is I start listening to those songs. I just listen to them. This is me breaking things down. I'm just getting used to the song. Then eventually I'm going to listen to those songs with more intent and start getting the basic structure of the song down. Then I'm going to start going into more detail and get the individual notes down. Then for the solo, I may just be riffing on the solo because there's just not enough time for the first gig for me to memorize every note of the solo. But eventually I'll do that. So you could think about it in layers, right? If you think, what's the old expression, how do you eat an elephant? Well, one bite at a time, right? So like you think about eating an elephant, that's gross one, it's gross, but number two, you're not going to swallow it all in one, just like you wouldn't a giant sandwich. It's one bite at a time. So this basic concept we get in physical things that we just can't do. If we're laying bricks, we're going to lay it one brick at a time, right? But we don't think this way when it comes to mental things. All of a sudden, we're freaking Superman. We think that we can just take on whatever, because we got the will. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. I mean, I'd like it to. Again, I believe in unlimited all. But we also need to be cognizant that we live in a 3D world where we have time and it takes time to do certain things, and there's steps and et cetera, right? You can desire all you want to be a brain surgeon. Chances are you're not going to go be a brain surgeon, or at least you ain't for me, if you hadn't gone to school and you hadn't done a bunch of brain surgeries beforehand, okay? It doesn't happen just like that. Neither does guitar playing, okay? So read that slow it down, break it down, that's in the PDF there. That's really an important bit. How much should you practice? Well, that's like I say, if you're totally fine with sucking, of being mediocre, of being novice, of just kind of flanking away at the guitar and not ever getting anywhere, then just don't practice that much. You know what I mean? Don't practice much. 15 minutes, 5 minutes a day, whatever. Doesn't matter really, because you no expectations, right? If you're totally okay with being completely mediocre and right in the medium, right in the middle, and still probably impressing some people, then practice a medium amount. People say, well, how much is that, a medium amount? Well, it depends. How long are we talking? How many days are you practicing? How long are you practicing during those practices? There's so many variables that one can't honestly answer that question. If someone answers that question for you, they're not being honest. So you can't honestly answer that question. It has to do with some specifics. And we'll have some examples here today, folks asking questions, and we'll go into it. And from that, you will get the knowledge that you need for this specific thing. By the way, for everybody who shared this, special blessing, special Christmas blessing on you. And thank you so much for thumbing this. And for those that hit the thumbs down, you meant to hit thumbs up, or hit the thumbs down twice is what you meant to do, okay? All right. And if you want to excel, if you want to be great, obviously you want to be passionate about something. And there are ways to build that passion. We could talk about that. But, when you're passionate about a relationship, you're spending all the time, all that energy with that person because you're wanting to invest in them and find out so much about them, right? So same thing, how much should you practice? If you think about it like time, like, I got to practice again, you're probably not going to be very good. Honestly, that's just me being honest. Because when we get lost in something, when an artist gets lost in a painting, there's no thinking about it. They enjoy it. They're in what we call flow state, right? You go surfing, you do something like that. You know what flow state's like. You've been in it in other areas of your life. Maybe guitar, maybe surfing, maybe something else. But you know it because you lose time and you're in it and you're just you're not thinking about time. You're more outcome oriented, not time oriented. How many push-ups should I do? How long should I do this exercise? That's very linear thinking. It's not going to serve you as well as it is coming with an outcome. So a lot of times when I say when you practice it until you get it, until you get the idea. You just coming back to it 5 minutes every day, you'll probably get to it eventually after weeks, months, or years. But how cool would it be to just woodshed and go deep dive into a particular something until you get it? And then you walk away, you go to sleep, you come back to it the next day, you still have it. You didn't lose it, right? That's not how our brains work. Okay, so check out that PDF. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, in the description of the video, you'll see that PDF, okay? All right, now, real quickly, I'm just gonna give you 2 examples, and then we're gonna go into some questions, okay? No, we're not yet. I got other stuff I gotta tell you here. Oh, first off, here's what I want you to do before we move on to that next part. What I want you to do right now, get a piece of paper out, get a pen, come on, go ahead and do it. It's worth it. Your playing is worth it. You're worth it. So dig in a little bit here, because your playing and your future is worthwhile. You writing it down, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to write down what it is that is your why. Why is it that you're playing guitar? Maybe you're like, man, it just brings me relaxation. Totally fine. Now, the more specific you can get with it, the better you're gonna be. And everybody's in a different place here. So some of you might come away just being more entertained by this lesson and being like, man, I just love playing. Anything that I do, I'm totally cool with, you know? And there's no real goal or anything. And you just, anytime you pick up the guitar, you feel great. That's awesome. But if you're like, man, I just love playing guitar, but every time I pick it up, I don't know what to play, that means that you got something specific, all right? Chances are you got something specific, or you're over analytical and you want to know what to practice. And so you got to be more specific with some things. So writing that down is going to be very helpful. Okay. Here's some examples of I had this conversation with my brother the other day. We were talking about this 2 nights ago. We had this talk about meditation, and you could use this about meditation. You use this about anything. If you're not good at the F chord, let's say you can't play the F chord, the thing to practice is the F chord. And people will say, yeah, no, Eric, you don't understand. I can't play the F chord. No, I completely understand. I couldn't play the F chord either, and neither could any of these other rock stars here. And some of you still can't, and that's perfectly fine. We're all on a continuum of learning. But what I'm saying to you is there is no thing other than eating and drinking and pooping and crying that you could do when you were born. Those are about the only 4 things that you could do, is emote, pee, poop, and eat. Those are the only things that you could do. Every single thing, you superb being you, every single thing that you have accomplished in life, you've done because you learned it. You didn't know how to ride a bike, but you got on that bike anyway, and you learned. You didn't know how to crawl, but you crawled. You didn't know how to walk, but you walked, okay? So this excuse of not having done something yet and then you can't practice it, we know that that's out the window. That just doesn't even exist, right? So every single thing that you desire to do that you can't do today, you lean into, and you believe, hey, I'm going to be able to do this one day, and I'm just going to practice. I'm going to try it. I'm going to mess up, and you just keep messing up, and you keep trying until eventually there's a crack, and eventually you start getting that F chord slowly, surely. That's why I break it down to 2 notes at a time, 3 notes, 4 notes, 5 notes, 6 notes, is so you can see in real time what I'm talking about and actually believe what it is that I'm saying. Because I believe it 100% because I know it, because it's fact. It's just, I've never, ever, 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 ever not seen it happen, not be true. Okay? And if you think that it's not, it's literally just your brain lying to you, because you may think it's too hard or something like that. Okay? So I had this example with my brother. We talked about meditation. The whole point of it is that you catch your brain thinking about a particular something, and then you go back into, okay, no thought. Just focus on my breathing, that sort of thing. Everybody who's ever sat down to meditate has always been confounded by their mind, that daggone mind nagging them. That's literally the reason why we meditate, right? Or working out. The reason why we work out. You don't understand, Eric. I'm super weak. Because you don't work out, bro. Okay, it's like you gotta do the thing in order to get to where it is that you want. It's a frame of mind, okay? So, and it's really, really important that you understand that, because that core understanding is absolutely everything. And just that one understanding, if you just take that to heart and you do that in your life with anything and everything that you desire, you will blow yourself away. I've done this. I do this. It's my constant is trying to impress myself with doing things. Right now, I'm doing lots of physical activities, handstands, those sorts of things. Those are my goals, because it's things I can't physically do, and it's a big win when I do it. Okay. Also guitar and creating courses and lessons and stuff like that. But I've been doing that for a long time, so I'm very used to that, right? Thank you for everybody who's sharing and everybody who's liked, by the way. We've got 369 beautiful souls in here, so thank you so much. Beautiful. Okay, so going with the PDF still, and we're going to get to some specifics. The reason that I'm doing this with the blues guitar and the cowboy guitar is that the majority of you watching right now, I know this through polls, and I know this from talking to the hundreds of thousands of you on YouTube and in my program and everything else. I know what their goals are, many of them, all right? So I picked blues guitar, and I picked singer-songwriter / acoustic / cover tune, campfire dude, girl, whoever. I picked those two specifically because that's probably going to cover 70% of you. Okay, so let's talk about it. So what I said is, for blues guitar, this is just an example, because I want you to expand your mind here. Whatever it is your why. Let's add the legs to it here, like tables, right? Like legs to a table. Let's prop it up. So for blues guitar, here's some things you would want to practice. Here's some things you wouldn't want to practice. You would want to be you don't really need to practice the jazz modes. Now, again, let's say you just want to be a blues guitar player. You don't need to practice the jazz modes. You don't use them in blues, okay? You could if you want, but you don't use them in traditional blues. B.B. King doesn't use them, okay? None of the Kings used them. Okay, none of the Stevie Ray Vaughan and those guys, they're not using the modes. So to understand that is taking time that you could be getting good at blues and applying it to the things I'm about to tell you about now. People get obsessed. Should I learn how to read music? I don't know. Does it answer your why? Does it get you closer to your why? Well, I want to be a blues guitar player. Nope, probably not, because blues is a lot of improvisation. You could read music. Is it going to help you be this amazing blues guitar player? Nope. If I'm being honest, no, it's not. 99 times out of 100, it's not going to help you. What's going to help you is taking the time that you're spending on this thing and putting it into your blues guitar, okay? There's other things that we could go into, but just give you some examples. So to be proficient at blues guitar, one would need a good understanding of the 12-bar blues chord progression. And by the way, I give you all the examples in here if you want to go see these videos. Most of them are free on YouTube. Other ones are free for you inside of UGS Standard. Most of you have gone through UGS Standard. If you haven't, it's a free course that I give to everybody. I've had over 500,000 people go through it, and it's in that PDF. You can get access to it right in there by just clicking on the link, and it'll tell you where to go for whatever. Okay. But for instance, blues guitar, you need a good understanding of the 12-bar blues chord progression. You need to have the ability to play it in multiple keys, because you're not just playing in one key. You need to have a good sense of playing chords all over the neck, so you need to know the cage system. You need to have some go-to blues riffs, so you'd get that from the pentatonic scale or copying licks from other players, which everybody's done since the beginning of time. You got to get used to copying other people's stuff. This music is a place that really invites that, okay? Now, you don't want to copyright them, and we could talk about that, but if you're playing other riffs, don't worry about it, okay? Other people's riffs. You need to have an understanding of the blues scale and have an understanding of how to improvise, okay? That would be an example of things to focus on. So we got our why, I want to be a blues guitar player, and then you have these areas of focus. And then you start doing the areas of focus. You start chipping away at them, and you're getting to this place happens way quicker than you scrolling on YouTube and being like, well, should I learn this thing? Well, this guy says I should learn this. What's this? Guitar. This is cool. Watch this review. And now all of a sudden, you just burnt your 1 hour and you spent about 10 minutes playing guitar when really the rest of the time was just kind of going through YouTube, right? I have like 1,100 videos on YouTube, so I love the platform. It's very helpful. But if you don't know how to use a tool, I mean, I love, knives are really helpful if you're using the right end. If you're using the wrong end, they're terrible. Okay? Same thing with a hammer. So understanding how to use a tool is as important as the tool itself, because you may not know how to use the tool, right? It's important. Make sure it doesn't control you. Okay, so you got that inside the PDF. Let's scroll down to singer-songwriter, acoustic, cowboy chord, campfire guitar, songwriter that I have in there twice. To play this style, one needs a good understanding of the 9 essential chords, how to use a capo, how to change keys with the capo, a good sense of strumming rhythm, how to break a song down, and the ability to sing and play at the same time if you're wanting to lead people in worship or campfire guitar, that sort of thing, right? So most of that stuff is inside the Unstoppable Guitar System Standard, which I give you for free. It's in that PDF, or go to YourGuitarSage.com/30. All that being said, if you want to be great at this campfire guitar and you're like, bro, that's all I want to do. And you may say to yourself, well, I don't know, pros don't do that. Really? James Taylor? You don't think James Taylor has a real specific shtick that he does? He does. He's got a real specific thing that he does. Joe Robinson, do you think he has a real specific thing that he does? He does. It's fingerstyle. He's good on the electric as well. He's great on the electric, and he can do all sorts of other things. But his forte is fingerstyle playing. I mean, take whoever. I don't care who it is. Stevie Ray Vaughan. If you take Stevie Ray Vaughan, drop him in a Nashville studio, well, I mean, definitely not now since he's been dead for a few years. Rest in peace, Stevie. I love you. But insane guitar player. One of my favorite guitar players of all time is definitely my favorite blues player. But take him when he was alive, drop him in a Nashville studio and say, go. Just like these Nashville cats do, he's going to fall flat on his face. It's going to be embarrassing. Same thing with Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eddie Van Halen, or any others that they have a real specific niche that they do. Jack White, whoever. Because they've embraced this specific thing that they do and they went headlong into it and they really got good at it, okay? So your favorite guitar players, oh, by the way, are folks that found out exactly what their why is and they went straight into it, straight into that sunset like an arrow, man. They weren't looking to the left and the right and looking at this video and that video and should I do this and should I do that? That's a waste of time. Figure out what it is that you want to do, full speed ahead, step on that pedal, and I promise you people will start noticing who you are and what you do, okay, what you've come here to do. So this singer-songwriter, acoustic, worship, cowboy guitar, acoustic, singer-songwriter, campfire guitar, whatever it is you want to call it, where you're sitting with the capo and you're strumming and you're not playing any leads and stuff, what use is it for you to sit there and play jazz modes to a metronome, or to be practicing polyphonic rhythms, or to be studying 12-tone music? It's like it's great, but it isn't going to give you anything over here. You might as well be studying accounting and woodcrafting and see if that helps you with guitar. It may help a little bit, but you might as well focus on what it is that you're trying to do and really give it that energy. Does that make sense? Hopefully it does, and I'm not sounding like a broken record here. Okay. Beautiful. We're done with that PDF. We're going to get into some specific questions here because I really do want to get to the matter at hand, which is how can I help you guys? Okay. So let's go ahead and get into some questions. I'll wait for you and I'll put them on the screen here when I get them. And yes, we will talk about your specifics. Okay. Yeah, Brian Setzer. You think that he got caught up in the 80s craze of finger tapping and rock and roll metal? No, man. He's like, I'm 50s, bro. And I got my 6120 and my old Fender, and I don't care what anybody wants. And that's who we know Brian Setzer as, don't we? Right? We don't would we be disappointed that Brian Setzer wouldn't play Panama well? I don't care. I don't care that he does. I'm happiest when I'm actually doing my stuff, when I'm doing Gabriel the Bull stuff, when I'm doing my own stuff. That's when I'm happiest. I love playing Panama. I love playing Van Halen and Cop and Jimmy, and I love doing that. But in reality, what I even love more is doing my stuff. And but alas, I'm a guitar teacher, so it's helpful to be able to know all this stuff and or to be able to play the different things for you. Does that make sense? Okay. John is saying, let's see if I can do this here. John is saying, what's a good software for video recording yourself? I have Windows, but can't get the audio video synchronized. Man, I would say probably just getting a, just use your phone. Look, man, whenever you're talking about anything, especially technology-wise these days, keep it simple. Keep it simple, stupid. Or keep it stupid, simple. I don't know, whatever the expression is. I don't know if that was that referring to me? Am I stupid? I don't know. But nonetheless, keep it simple, okay? You want to, don't make things more complicated than they need to be. So set your phone up. Do it that way, okay? Do I need to know all the modes? Maddox is asking. It depends. What do you want to do? It's a good question. Maybe you do need to know all the modes. Maybe you don't. I met a jazz guitar player who didn't know any of the modes. Did you hear me? He was a jazz guitar player, a jazz lead guitar improvisation player. He didn't know any of the modes. He used his ear. Okay? David, thank you so much. Very, very proud of that Gabriel the Band stuff. Gabriel the Bull stuff. We're having a blast. Okay, please say, okay, here, let's do this one here. This is Jeff Reninger. Please say some words about the best way to use a metronome for both lead and practice. Okay, number one, use a metronome, okay? What does that mean? Well, use it. Like actually play your scales with it. So if I had a metronome going, tick, tick, by the way, I have videos inside of UGS for this and videos on YouTube, which is why I go over this stuff very quickly, is because I don't want to waste your time when I've got much more detail for you. So just search YourGuitarSage metronome, okay? But one thing that I like to do is I like to practice, like if I was practicing quarter notes, like tick, 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 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then practice eighth notes, 16ths, that sort of thing. Any amount of practicing with the metronome is going to get you there. If you overthink the metronome, you've already lost. Just put the metronome on, start practicing your scales. There is not a wrong way to use the metronome. If you use it, you're going to get really good at it, and all of a sudden you're going to say, well, now what happens if I speed this up, or what happens if I put double the notes in, or that sort of thing. You're automatically going to start thinking that way. So just turn the metronome on. Don't overthink that one, okay? All right. Good stuff. Okay, do you think you can improve your ear by practicing ear training? Absolutely. Look, there's nothing that you can't improve by practice. There's no thing. When we're developing our ear, we're not developing our ear, we're developing our sense of awareness, okay? So for instance, when I was a child, when I was a baby, and I was listening to Beethoven's Ninth, and I'm listening to Beethoven's Ninth today, I'm not hearing anything different, okay? The notes are no different. The key is no different. The timing's no different. If I'm listening to the same exact recording, there is zero difference about it. But how different is my perception, and how different are my filters, and how different are my definitions of what I'm hearing? So for instance, if I don't know what a key change is, I might go, oh, there's that thing where it changes, but I don't know that. I don't have the words to sense what that is, right? You've heard people say, well, red to one person, maybe green to somebody else. It's just that they've always known that color as that, and there's no way for us to differentiate the color because we're saying we're describing what it looks like to us, okay? And if you say, well, it looks like a cherry, well, the cherry may be green to somebody else as well. So for some of you, that went over your heads. That's all right. Nonetheless, whatever we practice, we get good at. So if I say to you, okay, this is a major chord, and I say, well, this is a minor chord, and then this is a diminished chord, then if I play this, you may know the difference between major and minor, because we've gone over this little trick here, right? And so that is a simple example of, can you improve your ear? Absolutely. And you do that through repetition. You do that through things like that. So yeah, any sort of anything that you get a hold of that you can practice with your ear, do that, okay? UD is saying, in your opinion, is fingerstyle easier than strumming style playing? UD, it just depends. Some people, they never pick up a pick, so their hands are on the guitar right away, and they feel more natural with that. You know what I mean? So if you took somebody like Lindsey Buckingham, who's never used a pick, well, or I mean, he's tried to use a pick before, but he's so with his fingers that's the way he plays. So that's going to be much more natural to him as opposed to somebody else. I'd say most people probably feel more proficient with a pick because they can just kind of attack the strings like you would with an axe instead of having 5 little knives to attack the strings with, you know? This video just got flagged because of all the violent talk. I'm joking, probably, who knows? So does that make sense? But is fingerstyle hard? No, it's not hard if you know what to do. In the free course that I'm giving you today, UD, I teach you exactly how to play. I give you a bunch of exercises to go through that ramp you up from baby beginner all the way up to being really proficient at this, okay? So that's in the PDF, the very first link in the description of this video. You can have access to that course for free, and in there is a whole bit on fingerstyle guitar, okay? Yeah, Gordon is saying happy and sad is always how I've heard them when he's talking about the chords. Okay. Okay. Fab is saying here, I can't understand the solfa tonic. I struggle to play in here. What should I practice to get better? I play acoustic campfire guitar. Okay, that's a very general question. But, so, you know, the major scale is what you're talking about. What you need to do is search YourGuitarSage major scale and play this. I'll show you how to play that. And, you know, we could play that several octaves. We could do that if we wanted. But nonetheless, to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 1, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. To be able to do that is very helpful because doing that's going to it's going to help your ear. And, you know, you just need... let me pick apart what you're saying here in a way that I think is going to help you the best. And sorry if it sounds like I'm not approaching the guitar part, but talking more about the psychology. But the psychology of what you're saying here and what most people say is 90% of it and 10% guitar. So you can't understand solfatonic. So what he means by that, folks, is like the solfege system, which is just do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. It's the major scale. That's all it is. It's the basis of everything, right? Yes, you can understand it. I understand what you're saying. I'm not picking a fight with you. I'm saying, yes, you can understand it. You do understand it. It's just in your brain, you think that there's something maybe more to it, or, you know, we'd have to get specific to say, what do you mean you don't understand it? It's just a scale. You just play it, and I can show it to you in like 2 minutes in that video. You struggle to play in here. What do you mean you struggle to play it? Like, we got to get specific with what we're talking about there. If you struggle to play, then you need to play more. You need to practice more. That's it. That's the only thing. There's nobody from Hendrix to Eddie Van Halen to B.B. King to anybody. None of these cats. They all sucked in the beginning. Okay, did you see how I said that? They sucked. Every single one of them. Every great guitar player in the history of ever absolutely blew chunks in the beginning. They sucked. And then they practiced. Just like you and me, we suck in the beginning. And it's not even that we suck. Would we say that a baby who's learning to walk sucks? Or would we say they're just learning to walk? They're new. Let them, dear Lord, let the kid walk. Like, it's going to take some time. Then why are you beating yourself up about playing guitar? It takes time. It's like learning a new language, okay? That's all. What should I practice to get better? I'm telling you, start inside UGS standard. I could tell you, well, just go randomly find this video on YouTube and randomly find this video on YouTube. And, because when I say, go take my course for free, and people say, why are you always selling your stuff, Eric? I'm not. I'm giving a dang course for free. Okay, go do that. I put it in the right order so that when people ask me, what should I do? I say, go do that. Do that one thing, one link, go to it and do what it says there, and you'll be on your way. I promise you. I promise you. I did this. I've been doing this a long time, Okay. Let me mention this really quickly for those folks that might bail out on us. I mean, we got another, we're going to keep going here a little bit. We'll go past the hour mark, I'm sure. But for those of you real quick who are wanting to know, we do have a special going on today. It's $300 off the lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System. We also have a yearly option there too. Click the second link that's in the description of this video. If you do that, it will give you $300 off. We only do this one time a year, and it's right now, okay? So for those of you that are that are paying monthly or they're paying yearly and you want to get it for much cheaper, there is my gift to you, my friends, okay? Okay, so here we go. This is a good question from Gordon. Playing over a blues backing track, can you use major pentatonic over the track, or does it have to be all minor? Gordon, that's a great question. It depends. Devil's in the detail again. When we talk about a blues backing track, is it a minor blues or is it major blues? Most blues tracks are major blues, meaning A7, D7, E7, or E7, A7, D7, that sort of thing. They're major chords. They're seventh chords, and they really lend themselves to using minor pentatonic, but you can also use major pentatonic all day long on them because they are a major chord progression. So if it's a minor chord progression, say like The Thrill Is Gone, that would be something that you only want to play minor pentatonic to, okay? So for more of that, Gordon, search major, minor, pentatonic, YourGuitarSage. Major, minor, pentatonic, YourGuitarSage, and I will answer that question for you. So search that on YouTube, okay? Because I literally have a whole thing about that, Thank you so much for that kind message, Paul. I appreciate that. Okay, so HJ is saying, okay, the chords in the original song do not match my voice, so it's getting hard to write chords according to my voice as many singers do, like transposing. Any tips? Yes, HJ. Again, friends, I know I sound like a broken record, but there's a reason that I created that free course the way that I created it. There's a reason that I created it free for you, okay? But understanding how to use your capo is everything. And having a good understanding, HJ, of how to use the capo to change the key is everything, okay? So let's say that you're playing something in the key of C and it's too high for you. Well, going up to C sharp is not going to help. Well, it's going to make it higher, but eventually you'll go up enough to where you'll go back down an octave, and then you can start singing low, right? Because I could sing, well, since my baby left me, right? Or I could sing, well, since my baby left me. I could sing an octave lower. So as you start moving that capo up, you'll eventually be able to sing down an octave lower. So that's the quick answer to that. The longer answer is learn the Nashville number system as I teach it. If you want to know about that, on YouTube, search YourGuitarSage Nashville number system. I'll show you how to do that. And I'll show you, and that'll help you to get the basics to understanding how to transpose, okay? But also what I'm telling you, I have a video specifically on changing keys for the capo and a capo key chart that'll tell you how and what keys you're going to be putting everything in if you do that, okay? It's yours for free. First link in the description of this video, okay? Okay, good stuff. Oh, beautiful. Thank you so much, Azrael. just did a super chat for $1.99. Thank you so much, buddy. I really appreciate that. All right, going back a little bit here in these questions. Now, if you have some specific questions like, hey, I do this style of guitar, I do this genre, what are some of the things that I should be focusing on? Then we can answer that question as well, okay? Okay, here we go. I'm a vocalist in training who wants to learn acoustic guitar. I know the scales pretty well on piano, but I can't find the difference on acoustic. Can you explain? Sarah's saying. Okay, so Sarah, as you know, on the piano, you see all the sharps and flats. For those of you that don't know the piano, all the white keys are the natural keys, and the black keys are the sharps and flats. Okay, the accidentals. So when you're reading music, if it has a sharp or flat, it's the black keys. Hence the band, the Black Keys, right? I think because that's the pentatonic scale and all their music's very pentatonic oriented, very bluesy type stuff. So I think that's why they named themselves that. Anyhow, that's losing track there, as I tend to do sometimes. Okay, so you're playing piano, you know the sharps and flats and all the rest. On guitar, you don't really see them. They're not as evident, right? So here, Sarah, here's where the guitar shines. It makes it so much easier than the piano. You learn one scale. How will you learn that? Because I'm giving it to you for free today. It's in my course that's in the PDF there, or go to YourGuitarSage.com/30, and I give you that course there for free. And I show you how to do this. You play the scale. Oh, got a pick in there. So I play the scale. Right? Major scale. That's a C major scale. On the piano, that's from C to C, all the white keys, no sharps or flats. If I take that same form and I just move it up, half step, Sarah. Now I have the C sharp scale. Remember on piano, we had to memorize all the sharps and flats. I took it in college too. I had to memorize all the sharps and flats. It took 2 years of piano. And it was kind of fun, actually. I like to do that, right? But then you move to the key of D. And I'm not even thinking about sharps and flats. I'm literally taking the same scale form and moving it up a half step each time. What? Yeah. And literally I can play every single scale, every single mode, every single chord, every single riff, every single everything on the guitar. You can do it very easily by just playing it in real time like that, moving it up and down the fretboard. Does that make sense? Okay, good stuff. Okay, let's talk Dean here. Dean's saying, do you have any videos focusing on the physical side of playing so my elbows don't hurt so much? Yes. Guess what? It's like video number 4 inside the free course that I'm giving you today. It's all about posture and how to hold your back and how to hold your legs and how to hold the guitar, how to hold your pick, those sorts of things. It's absolutely foundational things that people want to skip over. They're like, it has nothing to do with that. My back hurts. And I'm like, yeah, Jack, it's because you're holding your guitar wrong. Like, you can believe me or not believe me, but I've been doing this, like I've literally dedicated my life to this since I was like 14 years old. I'm now 53, okay? So almost 40 years here of doing this. I know some things of what I'm talking about guitar, and I can tell you that if your elbows hurt, now this is sans having inflammation in your body from eating things that are causing inflammation or not exercising or whatever. Like, I'm not talking about that. That could be a variable that you need to check out, right? With a professional who does that sort of thing. But if it's not that, then most likely it's going to have something to do with the way that you're holding the guitar, okay? In a nutshell, but don't just take the nutshell, watch the whole video on it, because I promise you it's going to change it. In the PDF, you'll find the link for that, okay? If you're holding a guitar like this is the standard folk position. And if you're used to this, great. But a lot of times people find that they're gripping the guitar because it's only being held right here by the knee and your arm, right? But if you hold the guitar like in a classical stance, now all of a sudden you've got better posture, your back is more straight, your guitar is being held by two positions here by both legs, and your chest and your arm. And so now you have a little bit more holding on to the guitar. You're not going to be grappling the guitar. So developing that foundation is absolutely crucial for everything as far as playing, okay? Very important. Mark, thank you so much for the super chat. If I missed any of these super chats, friends, I apologize. Thank you so much. I really, truly appreciate it. There you go. Thank you so much, Mark. Really super kind. Okay, looking for another question here. Where are my? There they are, right there. Beautiful. Thank you, Britt. I wish my comments didn't disappear every single time. Weird. All right. Larry is saying, did I bring this cold weather from Tennessee? I know, right? So if you folks don't know, I recently moved to Florida. And it's pretty chilly here right now. So no, I did not bring it. But my in-laws are coming from Florida, or coming from Tennessee today, and I think they brought it because it's really cold up there. Eric, any tips on motivation? I need the proverbial kick in the butt just to pick up the guitar. Jason's saying. I love that avatar picture, Jason. Man, Jason, you know, answering that whole question why is really important. For me, I oftentimes inspiration accidentally when I'm listening to a particular thing, or when I'm watching a movie or something and I hear a song that I never heard before, and I actually listen to it because I'm watching the movie and I have to listen to it because I can be impatient when listening to new music. So being inspired like that is really helpful. I find oftentimes too, just doing the thing that it is that you desire to do, doing that, leaning into that direction and trusting that you're going to be motivated after you do the thing that you're trying to be motivated about. It's no different than what I said before. If as a baby, you desire to crawl, there's nothing in you that's like, I can't crawl. There's nothing in you. You haven't been programmed yet by the world to not believe in yourself, okay? Yeah, but you're just a baby and you're like, I can do this. And even though it seems impossible, these guys are all older, they've been doing it a while, you just keep on doing it until you do it. And now all of a sudden you're laughing and you're super excited because you're doing something new. Well, that's because you tried, you pushed yourself out there, okay? So I'm a big fan of whatever it is that you want to do, put yourself in that mindset first. Then the motivation and everything will follow. Okay. So what I mean by that is, if you want to be excited about guitar, be excited about guitar. Like, take wherever you're at today, even though you may not feel excited, and get excited. Lean in the direction of excitement about guitar. Watch some Eddie Van Halen. Crank up the frickin' speakers. Put your headphones on and go, what in heaven's name is that guy doing on the guitar? Or find out whoever inspires you and let it juice you, man. Let it excite you, and then start practicing, right? Find a new song to work with. I'm always excited about new songs, new tricks, new, whatever in order to excite me. So, but a lot of times I believe the universe is waiting for us to get excited first. And then when it sees us get excited, it's like, oh, you want to be excited about that? Here you go. That's my thought. Okay. Are there two ways to hold the guitar in your PDF links? Or can you show them again, but move the camera down a bit? Okay, well, I can't move the camera down a bit because it's pretty stationary. But right now, see my right leg here is like this. So I'm right-handed. It's on my right knee or my right thigh, and I'm playing like that. That's the folk method, right? And the guitar's a little wobbly, if I'm being honest, but I don't think about it too much because I've been doing it for like 40 years. So it's not wobbly to me so much. So I primarily play like this. I started off playing like this, okay? So I'm putting it on my left thigh. I got my right thigh over here. Yeah, sure, I got sweatpants on. And now I've got this secured with my chest and my arm, my two legs, and it isn't going anywhere, okay? So those are the two basic differences, Ralph. All right? Good stuff. Oh, thank you so much, Stephen, for that super chat. So kind. Yeah, Azrael. Yeah, watch a favorite artist or band. That's a great thing to do. Yep, watch something that really jazzes you. You know. Yudi saying, how many songs should you be practicing at the same time for a beginner? Yudi, I'm a big fan of practice of it's hyper focus as much as you possibly will allow yourself to hyper focus. Okay, so what I mean by that is this: sometimes we're practicing a particular something and we go, oh my God, if I hear this song one more time, I'm gonna lose it. Go to another song. Okay, at that point, go to another song. But if you're into the song and you've played it 700 times, keep playing it until you get it the way that you want to play it. So I'm a big fan of hyper focus. When you hyper focus, I didn't mention this. I think I mentioned it in the PDF. I definitely mentioned it inside the courses. But you know, to be able to hyper focus on a particular something is everything, man. Number one, this whole idea of multitasking, which became popular a few years ago, they've determined can create all sorts of mental disorders. So, like literally mental disorders. So it's not a badge of honor, and it's not good. It's not helpful to your situation. If you want to be good at any particular thing, you hyper focus. That's what the pros know. You hyper focus on a particular thing and you tune everything out and you focus on that one particular thing until you get really, really, really good. If you're thinking about all these different things, you're scattered. Your brain can only do so many different things at a time. It can really only do one thing at a time. But what happens is when people think they're multitasking, they're concentrating over here, then they're shifting, then they're shifting, then they're shifting, then they're shifting. And all those shifts take seconds or microseconds to readjust. Sometimes they might take minutes to get back in the vibe of a particular something. So a lot of wasted in between space doing that, right? So so no specific amount. It's just, you know, what's keeping you in the game. I'd say that would be the thing to do, is what's keeping you in the game. Okay. Bruce is saying, how do you remember rhythms? I get good ones and then I can't remember them. Yeah, I have a recorder. Bruce, it's just a matter of repetition. This is the deal. As a musician, you start having the ability to memorize a lot more stuff. Okay. So at first, maybe you're only able to memorize 3 or 4 notes at a time. Then eventually you're able to memorize 8 and 10, and then several bars, and then, the whole song. And now you got a repertoire of 60 songs, and now you got a repertoire of thousands of songs, you know. You may need a little reminder or something, but Bruce, it's repetition. That's you know, people don't like to hear that because they want a different remedy. But at the end of the day, it's repetition, okay? Also, we could also say that creating some sort of like memorable something about anything is also very, very, very important. But it's somewhat difficult to do that when we're talking about rhythms. I mean, I do it, but like for instance, like if you wanted to memorize someone's name, you would remember something about their face or something about their physical something that would incite their name, right? So if I go out here and you know, I meet this landscaper, his name's Doug, and I'm like, Doug, why can I remember his name's Doug? Well, he was working in the lawn. He was working on the landscape. He was digging up in the yard. So Doug, I'll remember that, Doug. And you picture in your mind's eye this guy digging and make it really obnoxious. He's got a giant shovel and he, whatever. And if you do that sort of thing, you'll remember people's names. I've used that trick. I don't use it enough because I forget names. I forget to use the technique. But when I do it, I never forget the person's name. So you can do stuff like that. And then what I do with beats and stuff like that is sometimes I will create like a little like whatever, like some sort of little motif. A musical motif is an idea. So I'll create an idea or something like that and just kind of hum it in my head. Or sometimes I might relate it to something else. You know what I mean? If it's my iPad, when it gives me a reminder, it goes ba-da-da-da-da, or it goes ba-da-da-dun-dun, something like that. And every time it does it, my wife sings da 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 da. Every time it goes off, she sings that, and because it's basically the same melody, it starts off with the same notes. So we have these things that get trapped in our head. So if any way that you can make that rhythm mean something more to you, that's helpful too. And if you can't, repetition, repetition, repetition. Okay. Okay, yeah, let's talk about this because I meant to mention this as well. Any tips on what to practice after you've learned the 365 days lessons? I've been practicing for multiple hours a day recently, and I want to make sure I'm utilizing my time wisely. Okay, first off, let's talk about 365. I didn't mention this to you, that if you get in UGS Standard, which is absolutely free, YourGuitarSage.com/30, or the first, or the link that's at the bottom of the PDF. You can get that PDF by hitting the first link in the description of the video. Hit that link, and you get to the course that way. I also give you a week of 365, which is basically 7 days of practice doing things like alternate picking, hammer-ons, pull-offs, finger picking, patterns, stretching, 7 different areas over 7 different days, 52 weeks of the year. And we start off real super easy and slowly crank the heat up over the next 52 weeks. It's a great thing to do for starting at the first of the year. So if you're considering getting into UGS Standard, I'm also giving you all of 365, which is an entire program of all these exercises and all the rest. So Mitza is saying here, any tips on what to practice once you've learned 365 days lessons? Well, number one, remember that you can do that over and over again. We've had folks go through that program like 3 times now. They're on their 3rd time. So each time you get faster, you get better, you get more proficient at it. And that's literally what that's the only thing that program's about. If you get other things from it, great. And you will, because I get the letters all the time from it. You'll get other things from it. But the main thing that I'm wanting you to get from it is you go someplace to pick up the guitar every single day. You don't have to question what to play. You've got what it is that you need to play that day, and you're going to get more proficient at picking and fretting, bottom line. Very important when you're playing songs to be able to do that, right? So, but Mitza's asking what to do after that, and that's a great question. Well, Mitza, we got to answer what your why is. Why is it that you want to play guitar? Because right now, I have no idea what it is that you want to do. So this isn't just for Mitza. This is for everybody. Listen, because a ton of people have this question here. Why do you want to play guitar? Absolutely important that you answer that question. If you don't answer that question, I could never tell you what to practice because I have got no idea where you want to go. That's like you being in a car. You got this great car, tank full of gas, and you're like, okay, I've driven around the neighborhood. Where do I go now? And I'm like, well, where do you want to go? You're like, I don't know. I'm like, well, then go anywhere. Just drive. Just drive anywhere. And that's what I'd say to anybody who doesn't know their why. Practice anything then. But you're going to get lost and you're going to end up someplace and you're going to be like, how did I get here? How do I get back? I don't want to be here. Maybe you end up in a bad neighborhood. You'll be like, I don't want to end up here. So it's important to know where it is that you want to go, right? No ship leaves the harbor without knowing where it wants to go. Otherwise, it's just going to float around on the ocean. Okay. And the same way is for a player or anybody who doesn't have that why answered, not just on guitar, but anything in life. You can't answer this question too many times. Okay. So Mitza, let us know what it is that you want to do. Otherwise, if you don't know what to do, practicing songs, play songs. Here's the deal. Here you go. Another answer for you, Mitza, and this is for anybody else. If you don't know what to practice, practice a song that you like. Why? Because not only are you going to be learning everything that guitar player learned, you're going to be learning, new fingerings, you're going to be learning new chords, new riffs, chances are, and you're going to have something great to pull from it and something great to use going forward, okay? So do that. Learn a song if you don't know what it is that you want. Manifest, Hadley said. Absolutely. Manifest. That is a huge word in my life. It has paid off in spades. You manifest what it is that you want. People go, oh, that's bull crap. Is it? Let me ask you this, Jack. For anybody that thinks manifestation or name it and claim it or whatever. Like when people talk about these things, it's different ideologies for it, but it's all the same thing. Do you go to the grocery store because you're looking for groceries? You might, but chances are you go to the grocery store because you have a specific thing that you're looking for. I'm going to get that thing. Now, you may walk out with other things, but you don't get in a car and just start driving randomly, unless you want to get your mind off of stuff. Fine. But you don't get in your car. I don't even get my keys and go to my car unless I have a specific place I want to go. That's the why. That's the manifesting. That's the, I want to do this. There's no thing, there's no song, there's no movie, there's no anything that's ever been invented in the history of ever that wasn't first manifested, that someone didn't lay in bed or have some vision of or some dream of and go, I want to do blank. I want to write blank. I want to do this. It starts with the I want, okay? And that's what your why is. I want to do this. Why? Because this, okay? So absolutely important, okay? There you go. David said, nobody gets better at something by not doing it. You have to lean into it, okay? I love it when I see someone, especially extremely overweight, running or doing some sort of exercise. But even somebody just overweight, man, it makes me so happy. I just want to yell out the window and say, you go for it. And sometimes I do, because they got it. There's something in them that said, I don't care that I'm 400 pounds. I can't go on watching TV and eating bonbons and lose weight. Maybe I have to do something different. Ooh, there's a thought, right? Maybe I have to do something different. So that takes a vision. And some people get it and some people don't. And the people that get it get a treasure trove of whatever it is that they want in life. If they lean into it, the harder they lean into it. Okay. Good stuff. Oh, so kind, Joseph. Thank you so much for that super chat. Super kind, y'all. I truly appreciate that. Never expected, but I'm always appreciative. 2 years in and can almost move bar chords around the neck with ease. Love that, Aaron. Nice. Sheila said here, I absolutely love to play and sing songs. If that's the only thing you're doing, that's fantastic. It's fantastic. And I say the only thing. What I mean is that if that's the only thing, if it's blues guitar is the only thing, if wanting to be Jimi Hendrix is the only thing, if wanting to be, the kindest person in the world, that's the only thing you want to do. When I say only, I mean not only like diminishing it, I mean like focusing singularly. You know what I mean? Okay, so let me go back here just a little bit. I'm late to the stream. Have you mentioned hand stretches? I've heard that a lot of players regret not stretching their hands before playing when they first started. So Jake, I don't know about this because to me, unless you're really pressing down hard on the strings, the movements that you're doing are pretty minimal. They're like writing or eating or anything. And I don't hear anybody saying that they wish that they had stretched before they ate. Unless it was their pants or something like that at Thanksgiving. The movements are subtle. So unless they're really really grasping that guitar neck, I've had one student that got carpal tunnel because he didn't listen to me in what I said. He held his guitar way too low. I hold my guitar very low. If you saw those videos, I hold my guitar very low, but I know how to play. I've been doing it a long time. So it's just like a singer who does this shriek and you're like, oh, they're ruining their voice. Not if you know how to sing. If you know how to sing, you can do those sorts of things. But if you don't know, then don't do that. Okay. So stretching, yeah, sure. You can stretch your hands out like this and some basic exercises. I have a video with that student on YouTube. If you search YourGuitarSage carpal, because I think we named it like carpal tunnel 1 and 2 or something like that. But basically you can do these exercises like this where you're stretching your hands out a little bit and what have you. But at the end of the day, this is not practicing guitar. This is just stretching your muscles out a little bit. That's it. You could do it. I never, ever do it. And I don't have any problems whatsoever on the guitar. Now, somebody else may have a problem because of some other variable that we hadn't mentioned here, but I wouldn't know what that is other than them grasping the guitar too hard, have the guitar way too low, their strings are too high, something like that, and they're using efforts that are not good. Also, I know you guys don't want to hear this, but diet has a lot to do with everything, because I see people with great diets, they don't have any problems doing all sorts of crazy things. And I see these people with these terrible diets, and they sit at a typewriter and they get massive carpal tunnel. But it's not their diet. They don't want to hear that. Sorry, that's a lot to do with diet. You eat inflammatory foods, your body's going to be very susceptible to disease. It's going to be very susceptible to getting hurt and a million other things. It's just true. I didn't invent it. Don't shoot the messenger, okay? These are just facts. Okay. Abhishek Sharma is saying, I want to become a singer-songwriter on guitar. Any tips, Eric? Yes, Abhishek Sharma. Here's what I want you to do. Hit the link. Here's the deal. The PDF that I'm giving you today has your specific prescription for what to do. Has your specific prescription. Okay? I only did it for 2 genres, because the 2 genres that are most prevalent in the chat today. And it's blues guitar and your style, singer-songwriter / cowboy guitar, cover songs, acoustic, that sort of thing. And so the things you would want to practice are your 9 essential chords. You would want to get good at using the capo and understanding how to change keys. You would want to understand how to break a song down step by step. You would want to understand how to sing and play at the same time by breaking something down. And I show you that. I show you exactly how to do that inside the course and on YouTube. I have videos for both. So just start going down that rabbit hole there. But the majority of everything that you need is going to be in that free course that I'm giving you today, YourGuitarSage.com/30, or it's in the link at the very bottom of the PDF that I'm giving you today. If you want to know where that PDF is, it's in the description of the video. First link. Okay. All right, good stuff. Oh, Garrick says I need to stop eating pizza to get better at the guitar. No, I didn't say that. I love some pizza. But look, Hadley says tomatoes make arthritis flare up. Okay, so there's certain things. Your body gets to an acidic state. And then anything you do past that is going to show up. So if you're at an acidic state and you eat tomatoes or you eat some cheese or you eat whatever, it's going to put you more into acid. Then yes, your knuckles will swell up. All sorts of acidic things will show up in your body. If you're very alkaline, you can have a tomato, you can have eggplant, you can do those sorts of things that are going to make you more acidic. But then you got to get it back down into alkaline again by green drinks, exercise, getting sun, those sorts of things. You know, the stuff that we all know what to do with and we don't do really, those sorts of things, okay? Jay is saying, do you recommend in-person lessons or live online? Or does it matter in your opinion? Jay, so here's the deal. If you have the money for it, there's a lot of variables in this. If you have the money for it, which one-on-one lessons are expensive. If you got the money and you find a great teacher and you know what it is that you want to do, one-on-one lessons can be great, okay? If you don't have the money and or you don't know a great guitar teacher, then the thing about online lessons is you go to them whenever you want. They're super affordable. I mean, what we're doing here today, knocking $300 off my lifetime membership, we have 1,100 videos in there. If I was sitting down with a student, that would essentially be 1,100 lessons, times $300 a pop. It'll get a little expensive. Do the math there, whatever that is. I don't know how much that is, but it's very expensive. As opposed to when we do that online, I don't have to be there every time, so I can sell it for a lot cheaper. So it's somewhere, less than 50 cents per lesson. What is it? I'm going to tell you what it is exactly today. 1,100 lessons divided by 385, or 385 divided by, here you go, 385 divided by 1,100. I like numbers. So it's 35 cents a lesson, less than 50 cents a lesson. That's what you get with online lessons. If you have somebody who really knows what they're talking about and they really deliver, then that's the way I would go. If I could do both, I would do both. You know what I mean? So it just depends. By the way, I also do the live lessons. So once you're in the program, I do 3 live lessons like this, except there's not 300, almost 400 people in here like before. There's like a dozen or a couple dozen or what have you. I break them out into smaller broadcasts. So, and I do 3 of those a month. So once you're in the Unstoppable Guitar System, I do that for you. I provide that for you. So you get both. But you're not spending, $333,000. That's right. Tell them what else they get, Todd. Okay. Yeah, Hadley, you got what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Jerry's saying, curious, what's your musical background? So I grew up listening to lots of classical. My family listened to lots of opera and lots of classical, that sort of thing. My brother started turning me on to some great rock music in the 70s, AC/DC, Steve Miller, Pink Floyd, Supertramp, Aerosmith, Led Zeppelin, the Beatles. I could go on and on. Everybody that was back then, right? Turned me on to them. Really was into rock music once I heard that sort of stuff. Scoring music, Ennio Morricone, all the old spaghetti western stuff. Was really into all that sort of thing. Pop radio, 40s, even in the early 70s. I remember laying with a transistor radio at night and listening to like an old AM radio station and listening to flipping, I mean, just whatever was playing back then, right? The Commodores and just whatever it was, and loving that stuff, disco, like all of it. And then in the 80s got really into rock music, heavy metal, classical again, classical guitar major in college. Then moved to Nashville, really got into like studio playing. So whatever that was, and that was everything: country, rock, blues, jazz. I mean, it was just like all over the place. Whatever somebody asked me to do, I did. Multiple bands over the years, artist development deals, which are like basically like record deals, but before the record deal, duos, trios, quads, like all. And I've been teaching since I was like about 15 or 16 years old. So I took to guitar very quickly. Within a couple years, I was teaching my buddies who've been playing for years, and have been teaching for a long time. So love playing like that, and love teaching. Sunil is saying, Eric, how do you recommend learning to solo? How to go about learning it? Thanks. I'll see if Mike can't put it in the chat. But so I have a series inside of UGS. It's called Minimalistic Blues. And I believe that I have a few videos on that inside of UGS or inside of YouTube. If you search on YouTube, if you search Minimalistic Blues, YourGuitarSage, you're going to find out what I'm talking about. To me, that is the easiest, the most comprehensive, the most simple way to learn how to solo. And it's so very simple, so very easy, it makes sense. And this is the way that I think now when I solo. And I finally was able to put it into a course. One day I'm like, God, I need to put that into a course, and came up with the concept. But absolutely. Chicago Todd, we'll throw that on the screen for folks that are contemplating UGS. Thank you so much for that. Really, really appreciate it. Oh, Jerry, thank you so much, man. Jerry's getting into the lifetime membership. Yeah, you'll love it, my friend. I promise you will. Obviously, it's money back guarantee. So if you don't like it, then boom, we're gonna take care of you. Okay. I promise. I don't want anybody in the program who's not absolutely learning and absolutely excited and absolutely just so into what it is that they're doing, okay? Let's see. We have 308 folks still watching this, so I would hate to cut this off. I'm going to keep going if you guys want me to. When I see the numbers wane, then I will wane and I'll take off, okay? To let folks know really quick before I take another question here, a few things that I want you to know. The very first link in the description of this video will give you access to the PDF. Please, friends, download that PDF. I put it together for you. Me and Mike put that thing together for you so that you can have that. So it will help you, okay? Also, take advantage of the free course that I'm giving you. It really, indeed, is free. Anybody that's in it that started off or that's been in UGS standard, the free 130, go ahead and give a thumbs up or write 30 or something like that, so folks know that it's legit and that it did help you a lot and that there's no strings attached. It's literally a free program. You have it for life. It's 30 something, like maybe 33, 34 lessons of my most important lessons ever. Okay. And they will build a foundation for you, teach you the way to go. Once you go through that stuff, it's like going through, through the first 6 grades. And then from there, you'd know how to read and write and do arithmetic and that sort of thing. And you'd be able to go on life and do other things and have the cognitive skills to break things down. Okay. So there you go. Take advantage of that. It's the very first link below, okay? The second link below will give you access to all of our specials that we have going on today. We've got 2 of them, and they're the biggest ones that we do all year. It's $300. That's right. I'm not joking. It's $300 off the lifetime membership to the Unstoppable Guitar System, okay? It's absolutely a game changer, okay? And you're getting it for crazy cheap. Okay. Hadley's saying there's 15-year-old girls on YouTube that smoke on guitar. Absolutely, because they practice, and that's it. It's the only difference, man. The only difference between someone who can play and someone who can't play is practice. And anybody saying other than that is usually someone who's not practicing. Because anybody who's practiced, they know this path, but it's the people that want that switch. I want an app that I can just press and I become a great guitar player. Well, if it were that easy, everybody would be a great guitar player, and guess what? The law of supply and demand would make it not an impressive thing anymore. The reason that you guys are so moved by someone who's so proficient on their instrument is because you deeply in your heart know what it took for them to get to that place, or at least you understand that it's such a rarity that they had to have done something different than not practice, right? It takes something other than not practicing to get there, okay? Max, I moved to Miramar Beach, Florida, which is basically Destin. I love this. David is saying, this is year 20 of my playing guitar. Hold on, I got to move this thing here a little bit. And I'm learning new stuff every day. It's a lifelong learning experience. Absolutely. Okay, so this is an interesting question here. Aaron's saying, if you practice an hour a day, how many years would it take you to be able to play your own songs live? Let's talk about the different variables. Do you want to be good? Are you just playing the songs acoustically? Are you singing at the same time? When you practice your songs, how diligent are you with the practice? So there's lots of variables, and these are all real variables, Aaron. But if I were to, let's say I had to put money on a student, and the student had money invested too. Okay, so what I'm saying here is I'm making it legitimate, where there's no like I'm not going to show up for practice, or there's no skin in the game. If there's skin in the game, and I was teaching a student, or forget I was teaching him, say it was a student, I said, look, man, I'm going to give you $10,000, and I want you to do this gig in 3 months. Here are the songs, and they're just playing acoustic guitar, just the chords and stuff like that. I'll give you $10,000 to do this set of 5 songs, sing and play the guitar. If they were to practice every day for 3 months, I'm going to say 6 months. I believe you could do it in 3 months if they were focused enough in their practice, but 6 months definitely, I think they could do it, okay? So the reason I'm saying that is there has to be some sort of variable. There has to be like some skin in the game there to be legitimate, like, oh man, he's giving me $10,000, I'm going to do this. Make sense? Just playing acoustic guitar and singing at the same time, 2 years, and I feel I'm halfway there. Okay, Aaron, so thank you so much for that explanation. Okay, so you feel you're halfway there. So a lot in what it is that you're saying there. You feel you're halfway there. If you had other people in the room watching you, they may say, Aaron, you are remarkable. What are you talking about? Halfway there. You're ready to go. You were ready to go a year ago. They could say that. So what I'm saying is some of this could be your feelings. Some of this could be your psychology thinking that you're not where you should be. Okay? Jimi Hendrix was down on himself all the time. But turned out to be an all right player, didn't he? He's influenced a few players over our time. I know not all of you know who he is, but he's influenced a few people. Okay, so that being said, Aaron, if you were to just focus, so for you then, let's take the variable out that it's psychological and you don't know. Let's say that you're accurate and you feel you're halfway there. You really are halfway there. Let's just say that. If there was some way to actually quantify that, then what I would suggest for you to do is put a gig out there, say 6 months away. Put a gig out there. No joke. Put pressure on it. That's the skin in the game. You're going to be real embarrassed if you don't do this, Aaron. Put the gig out there and then say, I'm going to practice 1 hour a day. Now you got to get serious. Now you're like, okay, well, how many songs do they want me to do? They want me to do 5 songs. Okay. That means 1 song per month and then 1 month of just dress rehearsal. You can do this. And then just practice 1 song per month and murder it. You know, I probably wouldn't do that. What I probably would do is I would practice 1 song until I felt like I got it pretty good. And then I'd go to another song and work like till I got it real good. And then I'd practice both the songs near the end of the set. And then I'd work in my 3rd song and then work that 3rd song in and so on and so forth. So I'm practicing at least some of those songs over the whole six months. And then maybe when I get to that 6th month, I'd go ahead and do my dress rehearsals, which is just playing through the songs no matter what, keep going, plow through no matter if I mess up or not. Does that make sense? So that's what I would do. I love this. Jason Carter said, I had the mindset that I needed to learn everything before I played with others. Completely untrue. You learn more actually playing with others. Absolutely. Look, Stevie Ray Vaughan gets on stage. He's playing. Do you ever go, yeah, but does he know his jazz modes? Yeah, but can he play Pachelbel Canon? You don't care. Okay, you don't care. So no one ever asks you. No one cares if you can play that other stuff. Look, I for years feared that people would ask me in a lesson, not for years in lessons, because I got over that pretty quickly once I realized that people didn't ask me those questions, but I was fearful starting off teaching guitar because I was afraid someone was going to ask me a question that I wouldn't know. Guess what? Probably happened twice in thousands, tens of thousands of lessons that I've taught. Probably happened twice where I was unsure. And that's because people don't ask high-level questions typically. But the questions that say the 2 that were given to me were ones that I needed to investigate. And I said, you know something? Let me check on that because I'm not 100% sure. And I wasn't. I had an idea, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I went and I studied it that week, came back, taught them the lesson. So, and I've never been in a position where someone said, hey, play such and such for me. And I was like, oh, I guess I got to play this. And then I get out there and I fail. I'll just say, no, I don't do that. You know, if Stevie Ray Vaughan was on Johnny Carson's show and they said, "Can you play some classical?" He's going to be like, "No, man, that's not my gig. That's not what I do." And that's it. He just put the kibosh on it right away. No one's going to ask you to do anything that you can't do. And if they do, just tell them, I don't do that. You know, get out there, practice. Exactly what Jason's saying. Get out there and practice. Get out there and play with other musicians. The worst that's going to happen is you're going to mess up. And guess what? You're going to mess up anyhow. Okay, so get over yourself. Don't. That's also ego, by the way. If one thinks, no, it's really I'm a perfectionist. Perfectionist is being an ego, is having an ego because you're wanting to be perfect. There is no such thing as perfect. There's just not. There's great and there's greater and there's greater and greater and greatest and greatest and greatest and you can keep getting better. There's never a time where you can't get better. So there is no perfection. There's just getting better and better and better. So get that out of your mind. Start already. Whatever it is, posting videos on YouTube, teaching, getting out, playing live, writing songs, whatever it is, do it, man. It's 2023. Time's running out. Okay, you ain't getting any younger. So do whatever it is that you want to do and stop making excuses, okay? Seriously. This is your life we're talking about. Have some fun. Jason, thank you for adding that comment. I love that. It's beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much, John. I'm posting that. Beautiful. Okay. I love this one too. Let's talk about this. I had a friend that seemed lost on self-learning or what to do between lessons. When he had a live performance coming up, he felt he had a tangible, real goal and he knew what needed to be done. Friends, I live all my life like this anymore because with my kind of mind, and probably like your mind as well, you get this list of 10 million things you can do and it just grows longer and longer and longer, right? Instead, the way that I live now is I go, what is today? I woke up this morning, I got my live broadcast. I wanted to make sure that I got up early and did my workouts and all the rest so that my mind was where it should be and had everything worked out with Mike, even some last minute things, but we got it all done. Wrote down everything I wanted to do. Guess what? Was prepared for the broadcast. Why? Because I was singularly focused on what it is that I needed to do today. Now, after this broadcast, everything you hear that we're doing will be off my plate and I won't have to think about it anymore. My in-laws are coming in tonight. I'm going to be focused on getting the house ready and being with them and all the things there. If you have a goal out there, if you have a thing out there, all of a sudden, you know exactly what it is that you need to do. So putting that goal out there, putting that gig out there, look, no one's listening anyhow half the time. Chances are, if this is your first gig, whatever your first gig is, no one's listening to it. It's going to be a coffee house. It's going to be a bar. People ain't listening. I guarantee you're not booking a venue with 3,000 people and all eyes are just waiting for you who have never performed in your life. They're just waiting for you to perform and they're going to be they're going to be on like this for every note. It's not like that. It never, ever, 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 ever happens like that. Okay, so don't worry about it. They're not listening anyhow. You can mess up and no one's gonna really care. Okay, so now that we got that out of the way, get the hell out there and start practicing and having some fun. Have that tangible goal is a real thing, man. Okay. How long should it take? How long should it take you to learn a song? A month, 2 months? Well, it depends what song you're talking about. Are you talking about Toccata and Fugue in D minor? Or are you talking about Iron Man? You know, it depends on the song. And it depends on the person, depends on how much they're practicing, it depends on how much they've practiced already, depends on their attitude, it depends on how focused is their practice. So this is what I say, this is why I have to give you these methods so that you can start narrowing down, so that you can be your own coach, because no coach can accurately, honestly answer those questions. Yeah, I could throw out any answer. I could say, oh, it should take you 2 months. That would be ridiculous because there's so many variables that are at play there. So anybody telling you that it's going to take you this long is trying to sell you something, and it's not true because it depends, you know. Oh, thank you so much, Soul Studios. That's really kind. Okay. Okay, J-Wald. Let's talk about J-Wald here. Been at playing guitar for 15 years and still can't play squat. I can't keep focused on anything. Okay. I know it's going to sound like a sales pitch, but J-Wald, I'm giving you something for free. So there ain't no sales pitch in this. It's free. I saw someone bitch the other day on one of my videos. They're like, I swear, this guy, only thing he wants us to do is go over and buy his free course. And I'm like, I didn't even comment. I'm like, I can't talk to stupid. Not that you're stupid, Jay Wall. This person, that was just a stupid comment. It's like, to buy my free course. Okay, that's what I'm wanting to do. No, I want to help people. That's why I'm doing this hour-and-a-half broadcast here or probably 2-hour broadcast when we're done with it. It's because I care. Because this is one thing that I can do to help the world. And I know for me, life is much better with music, much better with guitar. It has literally saved my life, okay? And it's made my life much more beautiful in so many different ways I can't even describe to you. So if I can help somebody else do that, boom, that's a win to me. So, Jay Wald, get in the free course that I'm giving you today, okay? If Mike or somebody, please post the link for it, YourGuitarSage.com/30, or it's in the free PDF that I'm giving to you that's at the top of the the description of the video, okay? It's in that PDF, so you can get that. But what I'd say is go through the foundation, because Jay Wald, most people, I would say 99% of every single student that I encounter who've been playing for a while that are intermediate or advanced players, pros, and they'll come to me because I have pros come to me all the time. I have artists that you would know, country artists, writers, not just country artists, rock artists, producers, writers. Over the years, I've had lots of people come to me, and they've been playing for a long time and very famous in the industry. And for all those that never call me because they're embarrassed, right? But for those that do come to me, it's like, what I find is that inevitably there are foundational pieces that they never learned, that were never taught to them. Because look, man, when we play guitar, we just pick it up and we start playing and we start mimicking, right? Well, there's a lot of things. You could do that with dance. You could do that with anything. But if you're like wondering why something isn't working, well, then you may want to learn, oh, wow, there's some fundamentals there that you never learned that would make it so much more fun to play, because now you have some understanding of the guitar, okay? So go through that, number one. Number two, you can indeed keep focused on something. I understand that you may feel like your brain is carrying you here and carrying you there. I get it. I've been there. I am there. I work on it. We all work on it. But our perception of what it is that we think of ourselves has a lot to do with if we are going to continue on and focus on a particular something. And you can get good at focus, by the way. You can develop that part of your brain. Absolutely. Okay. So start with those foundational pieces. Find out what your why is, Jay Wald. Inside of that PDF, look at that and find out what your why is, because if you really ask yourself that question, it's not a flippant question, so it shouldn't be a flippant answer. It should be a legitimate answer that you really take to heart. Maybe take an hour, go walk somewhere and be thinking, why do I want to play guitar? Why? You may be coming up with just, it's fun. Okay, that's sufficient. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, but there may be some other goals out there for you. Like you want to play, like even if it's fun, you may not want to play jazz. You may not want to play classical. So there are specifics. So you saying that there aren't specifics, I'm not saying you're saying that, Jay Wald. I'm saying anybody who's saying that I don't have any specifics, that I just think it's fun. Cool. But I guarantee you there's some stuff, if I say play this, you'd be like, I don't like that. Okay, now you're getting specific. You don't like that. So find out what it is that you don't like. Find out what it is you do like. Let's start putting some stuff in a bucket. Write it down so you know, well, I like blues, I like rock, I don't like classical so much, I don't like jazz, I love heavy metal, I love lead guitar, I love lead guitar. And you're just riffing here, okay? Okay, so you sum all that down, you like rock lead guitar. So let's learn rock lead guitar. Let's learn the blues scale. Let's learn the minor scale. Let's learn how to two-hand tap. Let's learn how to palm mute. Let's learn, there's certain things that you would learn as opposed to, jazz or something like that. Okay, so but very important that you understand that the why is everything. You know what I mean? Jason's saying, Eric, I've just signed up for Pro. Where do I find chord, tones, target notes, lessons, etc., or target notes? So Jason, that specifically, you're going to look like minimalistic blues. That's one thing that you'll want to search for. Anything in the upper left-hand corner, once you're in the Unstoppable Guitar System, you'll see a little magnifying glass there. You search whatever it is you're looking for. Pentatonic, scales, chords, jazz, swing, rhythms, whatever it is that you're looking for, type it in that upper left-hand corner. Otherwise, peruse the website, peruse the different drop downs, and you're going to see what it is that you're looking for there, okay? But specifically chord tones, target notes, I may have the word chord tones in there, but target notes, not per se. So I might teach that in a different way, but I definitely have lots of stuff in there like that, yeah. Yeah, here's the link. I'm just going to type it in here for you. Anybody who's wanting the free course, I'm putting it in here right now. It's YourGuitarSage.com/30. I believe that still works. If it doesn't, let me know, and and I'll let you know. That's how to get into UGS Standard, which is free. Once you're into our system, we can set you up with other things, but that's the way to do it, okay? And thank you for Mike for putting that link in there. Actually, Bruce, that's probably the place that you want to go, just because there's other options there as well. Okay, good stuff. Okay. Nicholas is saying, I spent hours trying to play your picking version of Paint It Black. Still can't get the rhythm of yours. Okay. And so, I think I mentioned this. I was talking to my brother about meditation the other day. Nick, you'll get it. It's just a matter of time. It was for me. I had to do it X amount of times. Track with me for a second. This is really, really, really important that you guys listen to me for a second here, okay? I know you've been listening, but listen very intently to me, because this concept here has everything to do with everything, but it doesn't have to do with playing guitar per se. It has everything to do with playing guitar and getting better, and etc. But everything in life. Nick's saying, I spent hours trying to play picking, Paint It Black. Still can't get that rhythm of yours. Okay, you will in time. But just Nick writing that means that most likely, I could be reading you wrong, Nick, but is that a cat in your picture? I love cats. I don't know what that is. But there is a presupposition maybe that I have something that he doesn't have, or I got it quicker than he did, or something like that. Maybe not. Maybe I'm reading into it. But we do this all the time. I do this all the time. You do it all the time. You know you do. Don't say you don't, because you know you do. And we look at somebody else doing something and we think, they're exceptional and I'm down here. And it's not like that. The only difference is they did that particular thing more. My brother doesn't believe this. He'll say, no, Jimi Hendrix was born playing guitar. Absolutely not. He sucked. There was a day when he started. There was a day he couldn't play the F chord. Hell, if you watch half the videos on YouTube, half the time he didn't keep his guitar in tune. So don't give me that, okay? Yeah, I'll say it. No one else will. I'll say it. Can't keep the damn guitar in tune, all right? It's a great player. Love Jimmy, okay? But honestly, I won't go into it. I love Jimmy. But people put these people in lofty positions. Not that he was ever like that. He was a very humble guy. And they put people in these lofty positions, and then that separates them, and that makes them, people do this in religion too, man. It makes them very separate from being great. And so it's just a matter of doing it enough times, Nick. Slowing it down, understanding it conceptually. Yes, I know it feels like when something's not there that it's an impossibility, but it's right around the corner. You got to understand that. Now, how far that corner is, it may be different for everybody, but you have to believe that it's right around the corner, and you got to keep on leaning into it, right? So the reason I mentioned the meditation thing, my brother goes, I see these guys sitting like that for the longest time in this position with their hands out, and he's like, I can't do that. My mind starts racing. And I'm like, what you're seeing is a byproduct of the practice of meditation. Yes, they're meditating, but they've just gotten really, really good at it because they've been sitting there a long time. What also is happening is you're not seeing what's going on in their mind. You're assuming that they're not thinking anything. Chances are thoughts are coming into their heads and they're watching them go away, and they're practicing meditation. That's what meditation is, right? So what I'm saying to you is anything that you see somebody doing, you absolutely 100%, yes, you can do it. There is a timeline, there is a dimension where you are doing this, but it's not going to manifest itself. If you don't lean into it, if you don't open that door, if you don't believe that you can, if you don't start walking in that direction, then absolutely, you're 100% correct. It will never, ever, ever happen. It's not going to randomly happen. You have to make it happen. So all that being said, you can do this, and I'm not just speaking to Nick. I'm speaking to everybody here. You know what I'm saying is true. Look, go ahead and put your testimonial into the comments right now if you have a story like that, because there are people that don't believe this, and there's a slew of you that know it. And wouldn't it be great if you could help somebody else to believe this, to know that it's true, to know that this is a potential? So I can tell you, 100 different things about playing guitar, and that's just guitar. I could go into 100 different things about my physical well-being, about my diet. I could go into 100 different things about relationships, 100 different things about business and what have you that I thought were impossibilities. But then when I started leaning in that direction and discovering the information and applying the information, and then they happened, and then I was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, that's a beautiful way to live life than to always be, to always be lowly and broken and I just don't know what I'm doing, right? I'm not picking on you, Nick, at all. Nick's like, dear Lord, I just said I couldn't play the rhythm. Nick, you'll get it, I promise. I'm just like, literally, you just sparked me there. That's it, okay? Okay. Beautiful. Beautiful. Tracy is saying, I learned the notes on the fretboard using the adjacent string trick. Friends, if you don't know what this is, on YouTube, you got to look this up. It will absolutely change the way that you understand guitar. There are tricks. I can teach them to you. I do it all day long. There are tricks to learn the fretboard and to make it way less cumbersome, way less hard to do, okay? I'll put Drew's comment on there because it speaks volumes. Look at this. Matt finally got the dreaded F bar chord. Okay. I know you got, I've been talking to Matt for years and his struggles with the F chord. Been talking with him for years with that. So good job, Matt. Love that. So, but in your mind, when it doesn't seem real, it's like you might as well just not ever be real. But you can't allow that thinking in. It's thinking is never going to get you to the place that you want to get to. Now, if it's too painful and you don't ever want to do it, then definitely lay it down and just be like, I'm never going to do that. I'm never good enough for that. And then walk away. But truly walk away from it. Otherwise, it's going to be really painful continuing to look back at it. But it's, number one, it's a lie if you told yourself that. But I understand it. Some things can be painful enough to where you just don't want to do. You want to look away. But chances are, not chances are, 100%, you have the ability to do it. It's just, will you do the things to get you there? That's all, I say that's all. It could be a lot, okay? Yeah, I love Frusciante Hadley. It's one of my favorite players. Haha, thank you, Sage, Texas. I like your names. Where's Sage, Texas? I have to go there and take a picture. I love this, and I talk about this inside the PDF, so I'm going to go ahead and mention it to you guys, right? Chicago Todd said, sometimes it helps to really break things into small chunks. Examples, first 4 bars. Focus on small sections, go slow and feel the rhythm, do it 100 times, then do it for the next 4, and then link them. Absolutely, 100%. There is no thing, whether it's guitar or business or relationships, that I don't do this with, where I take an understanding and I try to implement it. And if I can't implement it, I got these other 5 things. I don't go, oh, well, maybe these 5 things will work. No, I implement that thing. And if I can't implement it right away, I figure out how I can implement it shortly after that. You implement it. And then once that starts working, you get it down, you get a groove, and then you bring another thing in, boom. And same thing can be applied to music towards doing this, it's called blocking and chunking, right? So, okay, I'm gonna put this in here. Fairly new to guitar, 59 years, with arthritis in my left hand. Is there a trick to being able to learn bar chords, or should I learn workarounds? No, absolutely, there's a way to do it. 2 things I want you to do. You must. Your camera's not broken. I'm saying this is how many times you need to do this. You must go through the essentials. You must go through UGS standard, or have your own set of standard things that you're going through that absolutely develop the foundation. Because if you skip over that, it's like building a daggone house without a strong foundation. It's gonna look beautiful, And the first wind that hits it, it's going to be toppled over. And you're going to be like, oh, but I didn't think the foundation was important. It's important. Learn the damn foundation. That's an Unstoppable Guitar System standard that I give you for free today. So go through that, okay? Because you can't develop building a bar chord on crappy, I want to cuss so bad all the time on here. You can't do it with crappy technique, okay? You just can't. If you are trying to multiply, my kid wants to multiply. He's like, I don't have time for addition and subtraction. You got to learn addition and subtraction before you learn multiplication, because it has something to do with adding, right? You're adding one, adding another, adding another, adding another. So you got to learn the foundation first. Then, number 2 is watch the effing F chord on YouTube. EFFING. If somebody has that link, please put it in the comments there, okay? Because it really is extremely important in order to understand the concept. And I break that chord down into 2 notes at a time, 3 notes at a time, 4 notes, 5 notes, 6 notes, so that you know where you're at in the continuum of learning the F chord. Understanding where you are at in the continuum of any single thing that you want to do is absolutely so important. Just identifying that there is a continuum, okay, meaning a place of not being able to do it, a place of being great at something, or whatever the continuum looks like. In this case, guitar, that's what we're talking about. Not being able to do something, being able to do something. Just first recognizing there's a continuum. I can't do jack crap. There's Jimi Hendrix. I'm somewhere in between the two. Do I believe that I can get beyond not doing anything? Yeah, I do. I believe that. I can play a chord. Okay, good for you. You're over here. Others of us are over here. Others of us are over here. We believe that we can do more, and then we practice such, and then we can finally get there. Okay, so number 1, that's the first thing. Then you got to build that foundation. So get that why, build that foundation. Watch that effing F chord, because knowing, okay, I'm only doing two strings now. Okay, I'm there. You're not frustrated that you're not doing the 3 strings, because that's not your category yet. Once you've got the 2 strings down, then you go into 3-string category. Now you're moving through the continuum. Now you're here on building that F chord. Now you're doing the 3 strings. You're not worried about the 4 strings, because you can't get the damn 3 strings down. You get the 3 strings down. Now you're on to 4-string chords, and so on and so forth. So eventually you're playing a 6-string chord. And what this also does is gives you that feeling, because you're really feeling it, of moving forward. When you don't feel things, when you don't feel loved, when you don't feel like you're getting stronger, when you don't feel like you're growing, you might as well not be growing. I mean, yes, all those things, you may be loved and you may be growing and all the rest, but the feeling is what we want, and that feeling will help things grow, and it will motivate you. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for motivation, and motivation comes through seeing progress, right? At least it does for me a lot of times. So okay. Yeah, that's a good one. Okay. I'm going to see what this one is. TV is saying, I created a bad habit of doubling on my upstroke when trying to alternate pick. How can I correct this? Okay, let's talk about this real quick before I talk about this. For folks that have just joined us, a couple things. The PDF, first link in the description of the video. Oh no, sorry, second link in the description of the video. Nope, it is first. First link in the description of the video is the PDF. Get it. Second link takes you to our specials. We're doing $300, almost half off of the Unstoppable Guitar System, a lifetime of lessons from me. If you took a one-on-one lesson from me, which people do all the time for 1 hour, getting an entire lifetime of lessons from me, over 1,100, along with 365, and along with 3 live lessons from me every single month, along with email access, instant access to me on inside of UGS, any of that stuff, that's all yours. $300 off today. Okay, so take advantage of that. That's the second link that you'll see in there. Okay, so TB. Okay, so this is for anybody. It's not just TB, but number one, first you have to conceptualize what it is that you're wanting to do. You just said it there. You wanted to alternate pick. Now what happens is people go, okay, I want to alternate pick. Okay, and they go, okay, well, I'm going to go like this, and let's say they're doing, okay, so let me break this down for folks. Alternate pick is when we do strict down, up, picking, no matter what, down, up picking. Economy picking says, depending on which way our pick is going, we may do 2 downs in a row or 2 ups in a row. Or maybe alternate, just depends. For instance, if I go down, up, down, the next string is underneath me, so I'm going to keep going down, up, down. Then this picking pattern would be down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down. That's not alternate picking. That's what we call economy picking because we broke the pattern. So TB is trying to do alternate picking, which is straight down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, so TB, what you need to do is slow things way down. Whatever lick it is that you're trying to do, slow it way down so that you don't mess up. Every time you mess up, you're building a neural path. Imagine a meadow out in front of you, okay? And you walk down one path of that meadow and you look behind you and you see where the grass has been patted down, right? And then you walk that same path again. And then you look behind you again, it's a little bit more patted down. You do that 100 more times, you've beaten a path, okay? That's why we have trails through forests whenever you're hiking, because somebody's beaten a path. It's because they've chopped up the wood enough to where you can walk through that area. Well, same thing here. If you play something over and over again, whether it's right or wrong, you develop a neural path. You develop a groove. That's what we call getting in a groove. And you can get in a groove being a drug addict. You can get in a groove doing terrible things because it becomes habitual, right? So we want to make sure we're practicing the right stuff. That's why I say practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect, or practice makes permanent. So let's make sure we're practicing the right thing. So when you're practicing this, what's happening is, you're saying, how can I correct that? Meaning you're having an issue with it. You're having an issue. You practice this already. You're having an issue with it. So that means that it's not happening quick enough for you. Or when you practice it, daggone it, I'm not alternate picking again. I'm doing economy picking, right? It's because you're not slowing it down enough. So what you want to do is you want to slow it down obnoxiously slow and take bigger swipes at the guitar so that you can't mess up. If you're taking little small swipes at the guitar like this, chances are you're going to mess up. But if you're doing this, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. If you're doing that obnoxiously at first, you won't have to do that for very long. Just eventually, what's happening is you're building this muscle memory, sequence going on here, and eventually, it's going to start feeling more natural to you, and then you slowly speed it up. But the second you mess up, back it off again, because what's more important is you getting it accurate, right? What do they say? Slow. I know someone in the military will tell me here because they say it in the Marines all the time. Slow is smooth, and smooth. Slow is smooth, and smooth is fast, or something like that. But nonetheless, someone will put it in the chat there. But when you're learning to shoot or you're learning to do anything, you learn to do it right. You can't learn to do something right by doing it quickly over and over and over again, because every single time you do it wrong, you're going down that wrong path and you're building a groove. So what you do is you slow down, and our minds don't like to do that in 2022. And it likes to go fast. It likes to do everything fast. I need this, right? Slow it down, man, and hyper focus and do your thing and go down, up. That's the quan. That's when the magic happens. It doesn't happen by trying to do things fast. It happens by slowing things down and getting really good at doing things slowly, okay? So that's how you fix that, TB. And that's for anything. So anybody has any sort of problem like that, thank you. That's it. Slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Okay, beautiful. And Mike, there's our Marines in the house. Beautiful. Jason's saying, glad you have some lessons with Robbie Calvo on the website. Yes, we have lessons with Robbie Calvo. We have some with RJ Ronquillo, and we're getting ready to have some other folks join us, all right? So, yeah, be looking out for that. Yeah, Aaron, I get you. Yeah, always go fast with everything and it's sloppy. Exactly. And sloppy doesn't count. Okay? That's like someone doing a fast brain surgery. This guy does the fastest brain surgery in town. You want to see that guy? No, he'll do it quick. He'll have you in and out of there like in 5 minutes. I'm telling you, dude. And he's cheap. He's super cheap, right? That's the Google reviews. Super cheap, super fast. But 1 star. Why the 1 star? I don't understand. Everybody's saying he's super fast and super cheap. Yeah, I wonder why. So get it right, right? And then once you get it right, what happens is the reason anybody, listen to this. Listen. Time to take notes. Write this down. It's really important. The reason anybody can do anything fast is because they're able to do it slow first. Because they're able to do it slow so many times without messing up that it's so built into their neural pathways that they're able to do it fast. So if you see the fastest guitar player just speeding across the fretboard, it has nothing to do with their fingers being fast. My fingers are as fast as the fastest guitar players in the world. Okay? But what is different about the fastest guitar player in the world is he's way more accurate. So when I'm playing and I'm trying to play as fast as the fastest guitar player in the world, it's going to sound like bunk because I'm going to get caught up, just like Aaron said, and it's going to be sloppy. And sloppy just doesn't count. So make sure you get it right. Make sure you take your time, and absolutely you'll get what you want. Okay. Okay, when we learn to fasten our shoes, we don't do it full speed right away, or anything. Look, man, a baby doesn't learn to run. Okay, a baby learns to crawl, and he's you learn to ride a bike. You're like because every amount of your fiber is focused on not crashing. Right? You can't be chatting on the phone, but you can do that later on. I mean, I have a little phone holder. My wife will call me and I'm out biking and I put my earbud in and I'm talking to her. No big deal. But the first day I was riding my bike, ain't gonna happen, right? Because here's why. Let me mention something else to you about practice. And for those of you that have been sticking around, good for you, because you're getting stuff that the others that didn't stick around are getting, right? So think about our brains as being 2 different ways, okay? You've got your conscious brain and your subconscious brain. Your conscious brain does this. Your conscious brain does things like talks during a webinar, right? Talks during a webcast and says this and this about practice and what have you. But if I'm talking to you and I'm like, so, when it comes to practice, what you need to be able to do is you need to just be able to focus on what it is that you do. Then now my subconscious played this scale because my conscious brain is the one talking to you. Now, because my subconscious did that, I added an extra note in there. But if I actually think about it a little bit, I can actually do both at the same time. But realistically, my subconscious is playing 99% of that. My conscious brain is talking to you directly. So when we do stuff consciously enough times in repetition, it goes into our subconscious. Your subconscious is infinite. It can do an infinite amount of things at once. If you've practiced, if you've done enough of the practice. I'm not saying right now. I'm not saying you play guitar and flute and all these things at the same time. But your brain has the ability to do an unlimited amount of unconscious, or I should say subconscious things, because it's another part of your being, okay? Whereas the conscious brain right now is talking to you, thinking about the next thing I'm going to say. That's improvisation that's being done on the fly. So that's another concept that if you understand that, you'll understand why that repetition is absolutely so important, right? Oh, good. Beautiful. Johan. Hey, y'all, just got my first guitar today, an electric beginner one. Everybody tell Johan where to go to learn some stuff, right? Johan, welcome, my friend. YourGuitarSage.com/30, or hit the very first link in the description of this video. Download that PDF that I have for you, and it will also give you access to the lessons that you need today, okay? And for the next probably 6 months or so. Take advantage of that, my friend. Drew, I love this, and I am the same way. Just try to enjoy the ride. There's so much to enjoy and so much to learn. What a great instrument and instructor. Oh, thank you so much. So, friends, being in the moment, the power of now, the power of relaxing into playing guitar and just being focused on what it is you're doing, not thinking about something else that you're going to be doing in the future. You're not there. This concept, I know, is becoming, thank God, more popular these days, but it's not a new concept. The sages of old knew about it, right? And it's coming up again, and that's great. But it's absolutely so true. And it's one of those things that gets lost under the radar because it's so absolutely powerful. And it doesn't have a lot of bells and whistles and, there's no sex to sell it and there's no flashing lights and everything. It's just one of those things that's a truism. And if you do it, your life is so much better. It's that being mindful, it's being in that moment. And when you're playing guitar, just get lost in it. And you are going to find that you are so much happier and so much of a better player. All right. Good. All right. Excellent. All right, man, I feel like we've gone a little bit over. Yeah, I have. 2 hours and 10 minutes. Okay. Well, we still have a lot of folks in here. I feel bad leaving. I want to help you guys out. Let me know. How can I help you guys out? Go ahead and give me some specific questions about your practice. Yudi is saying, trying to learn the song House of the Rising Sun. It's killing me. Any advice? Yeah, Yudi, watch my video on it. Let's talk about that for just a moment, though, okay, Yudi? Because this is a perfect example. House of the Rising Sun, right? Let's see if this would sound good with it. Maybe not. That tone's not going to sound very good on this, but it's a little too much reverb. But, okay, so Yudi, this is what I want you to do. It's killing me, she says. Everything is in the words, right? And I know some of you guys out there probably get sick of me talking about psychology, but friends, it's everything. So let's pick apart what she's saying. It's killing me, meaning it's frustrating her because she's not moving as quick. So let's break it down. It's killing her because she's not moving along as quickly as she would like to. She's being really challenged by the song, would be my guess. If we don't see any forward momentum, we get frustrated. It's killing us. I'm not getting anywhere. I've been practicing this for years. I'm not going anywhere. Not true. Psychology, things we tell ourselves, lies that we tell ourselves, we're mad at ourselves. But in reality, if we break things down, it becomes so much more palatable. We see moment to moment, we're in our now, we're focusing on what's happening right now, and we can see that forward momentum. Here's what to do, Yudi. And this is not just for House of the Rising Sun, it's for all y'all in every song. This is what I would do if I was learning this song for the first time. I'd say, first I'd find out what the chords are. I remember learning this one by ear, but, ultimate guitar, I'm sure I have a lesson on it somewhere out there. Surely I do. Watch that lesson. But what I would do first is I would take inventory, what I call the inventory breakdown method. And I teach this in UGS standard. So, or UGS Pro. So inventory breakdown method is when we take what it is that we need to learn and we say, we need to learn this, we need to learn this, we need to learn this, we need to learn this. And we see it right there on the table, or we write it down, or we take a moment to address it. So House of the Rising Sun, if you want to play this song out, you got to sing it, you got to play guitar. There's the left hand, there's the right hand, there's the chords, there's the picking, there's the specific arpeggio pattern, there's the times that the chord progression changes. So you have all these variables. Now, if we took all those at once, that would be like running up Mount Everest. No one runs up Mount Everest, okay? Maybe Wim Hof, maybe in his shorts. But no one runs up Mount Everest. You take one step at a time, right? There's a famous expression that talks about you scale a mountain one step at a time, right? Or the beginning of a journey always begins with one step or something like that. So it's true with this. So what I would do is the first thing I would do is I would take inventory and I would say, okay, what chords? Well, we know we've got A minor, C, D, F, and an E. And I would say, well, do I know all those chords? No, I don't. Okay, well, I'm going to learn them all. I'm not worried about the song yet. I'm focused on learning all the chords. Okay, so this is what I mean by the power of now, the power of that moment, focusing on that moment. Don't forget about all the things you don't know how to do yet. There's 10 billion things you don't know how to do. So suck it up and understand that there's a ton of stuff you don't know how to do. And die to that. Die to knowing that. Okay, it's okay. Okay, I'm never going to be a brain surgeon. I don't want to be a brain surgeon. I'm okay with that. But there's also things about this song you don't know yet. It's okay. Let's focus on something that we do know. What chords do we know? Okay, well, I know the A minor, I know the C, I know the D, I know the E, but I can't play the F yet. Okay, well, let's learn the F. So we learn the F chord. Boom. Okay, you just felt forward momentum because you learned the one chord that you didn't know, or the three chords, or whatever it is. So, but we had a smaller chunk, and that feels accomplished. Now you can take that segment, that jar, and you can put it over here. You can say, I know all the chords. Boom. Good. Okay, step two. What's the picking pattern? Okay, well, it's something like... Okay, well, let's just practice that. And don't practice it with a bunch of chords, just practice it with one chord. Oh, but Eric, I can't play it that fast. Okay, slow it down. We're slowing it down. We're breaking it down. So we slow it down. Well, Eric, that's obnoxiously slow. Hey, man, whatever the speed is, whatever your speed is your speed. You judge it however you want. It's the speed that you need it to be. But it is an out-of-tune guitar. Okay, so... Okay, got the picking part down. Awesome. Now, let's take, okay, here's another thing. Moving from one chord to the next. Do you know how to transition? So this is not just for you, friends. This is for everybody. Everybody should be listening because this is every song, right? And you can break it down however you want. This is some of the ways that I break it down. Can I move from each chord to the next without messing up? Okay. If you can't do that, then you got no place in picking yet. You're cart before the horse. Does that make sense? So you learn the chords, then you learn the transitions. Can I do the transitions by just strumming them? Can you do that? If you can, great. Take that jar and put it over here. Okay. Now you go, okay, but there's this picking pattern. Well, you learn the picking pattern. Okay, we got that in another jar. You got that done. What about putting the picking pattern with two chords together? Let's try that. Well, it sounded pretty good. Well, let's try to loop it. Okay, well, that's cool. Let's add another chord. Or let's add two other chords to it. So let's go. Okay, so we got those two chords down. Now let's put four together. Does that make sense? So what we're doing is we're taking small things and we're making them bigger, but we're slowly adding to them as we learn new things. And what that's going to do for you, Yudi, and what's going to do for me, and what it does for everybody, is it gives you encouragement because you're feeling that forward momentum and you're learning the daggone song. Yay, right? We need this right here. Too late, but I got these little, like, here you go. I don't know if you guys hear that or not. I don't know if you heard that or not, but I got like these little things that make noises and stuff. I got to use it. Yay. Does that make sense? All right. All right, all right. Who is that? Me? You're saying is that me? That reminds me of someone that does LSD. I'm very excited, is what I am. I've never done LSD. What delay pedals am I using? So I'm. This is all the Kemper. It's all Kemper amplification. So you know what that is, right? It's like it's all in one unit. So the delay that I'm using right now is that which is built into it, and I have this guitar part for one of the Gabriel the Bull songs called "The Storm," and I work with this delay. So it's a cool little delay setting that I use so that I got that kind of nice little bouncy back bit that's going on there, okay? Bouncy back. Okay. That's official the name. That's the name of the delay there is bouncy back. Bouncy back delay. Yeah, but it's all built into the Kemper there, okay? Oh, you're welcome, my friend. Great. Good, good. Okay, still looking for another. Okay, you guys aren't talking about me. Okay, yes. Good. Yeah. That'd be the first time that I've heard that. I've heard a lot of people say, you look high all the time. It's like, well, maybe so. No. But people were saying that way back to me, way back in the day before any sort of anything. All right. Questions about your practice. House of the Rising Sun is also great when finger picked. Yep. Okay. Okay, so someone's asking about about a Udemy course. I have another course. It's the number one course on Udemy. Nothing compared to UGS. No idea what to practice because my job is to teach you how to play guitar. Your job is to teach you what to practice. I'm giving you this stuff to practice, Zach. The stuff that I'm teaching you is what to practice. You know. You want to practice songs, you gotta. I think Zach probably just joined us because there's a lot of stuff that we've talked about that would make sense to him. You have to have some sort of goal in mind. Otherwise, you've got guitar lessons. But if you don't have a goal in mind, you're going to get lost. Zach, my suggestion to you is download the PDF that's in the description of the video at the very top. Download that, go through that, watch this broadcast from the beginning especially from the beginning, because I really get into some nitty gritty stuff, very important stuff that you've got to know. If you don't, you're going to be lost on the guitar, just bottom line. And it's not about your instructor. There's a reason I'm the number one instructor on there. It's not about that I'm not telling you what to do, but I can't tell you, okay, if you're going to be a jazz player, play this. If you're going to be a classical player, play this. If you're going to be a blues player, play this. If you're going to be a rock player, play this. If you're going to be I could go on and on. I mean, how many different genres and how long are you practicing and are you dedicated? And it's like there's so many different things. So you've got to find your path, and that's what I'm doing is trying to show you how to find your path, okay? Okay, so for John is saying, for the first time to play with another guitarist, what is the best way to communicate? I think I remember you once said the Nashville number system. Is that correct? John, if somebody else knows the Nashville number system, that way, whenever you see two guys, or, two players, what I mean by that, by two guys, two players who know the Nashville number system, to watch them work their way through a song, it's like magic. It just happens like that. They talk the same language, right? If one guy knows Nashville number system and the other guy doesn't, you can't talk the Nashville number system to him because he's not going to understand that, right? But if you say, well, I'm playing a G chord and a C chord and a D chord, okay, we'd know that as a 1-4-5 in the Nashville number system. But say a G chord and a C chord and a D chord. Don't make it difficult. You know what I'm saying? So I'd say the first time you're playing with another guitarist, it depends on what they know. If they read music, then they may be better off reading music, and they may need some a chart or actual musical notation or something like that. Otherwise, to me, the number system makes a lot of sense. But someone may not know that, and they may be reluctant to do that. You know what I mean? To go there. Because it's not something that you could just show them in 2 minutes. I mean, technically it is, but to really integrate it, it doesn't take 2 minutes. To integrate it, it takes longer than that, right? That's a great question, though. Who are my favorite players? Who's your top 5? That's a great question. I'd say Stevie Ray Vaughan. Man, Yngwie Malmsteen is one of my favorite players. Gosh, that's such a hard question because I feel so I have players that were favorite for a while, and then I learned their style or learned what they were doing, and it stopped making it so wow. But Randy Rhoads was one of my favorites. Eddie Van Halen was one of my favorites. I love Django Reinhardt. Gypsy Jazz. Man, those are 5 that I go to a lot. But yeah, man, there's so many others. So many others. All right, man, we still have over 200 folks in here. This is beautiful. Let me know how I can help you, man. This is what I'm wanting to do is get you to that next bit here, okay? So let's look at this here. Arkin is saying, any advice on how to blend different modes over a single chord vamp? Yes, that's a great question. So let's talk about this for a minute. So now we're talking about modes. We didn't think we were going to go here, but we're talking about modes now. So let me see if I can get a different. Bit going on here. That's a little too much. Hang in there with me. Hang in there with me. Okay, let's just do that right there. If I were to say, see. Let's just do this for a second. Okay, make sure this is right. It's okay. Okay, so the point of this is I'm playing a G. I'm playing an A. Minor chord here. But so I could play. Okay, so let me back up just a minute here. I'm playing an A minor chord here. So what Arkin is asking is any advice on how to blend different modes over a single chord vamp. So the chord and the scale or the mode need to match. Okay, so I could play over the top of this. Sounds like Bad Boy, right? Bad Boy, what you gonna do? You know, so I could use that. That's the pentatonic scale. I could use the minor scale, which sounds like this. Okay, so what we're hearing there is the minor scale, okay? And that's another scale that we could use, but it matches the chord, okay? We could use the Dorian mode. That almost sounds kind of Doorsy, because Robbie Krieger would use the Dorian sometimes. So there you go. It's like basically you can use different modes over the same chord, but the chord has to match. So for instance, I couldn't use a major pentatonic over that A minor. I couldn't use an A major pentatonic over it. I couldn't use the A major scale. So there's certain things that I couldn't use. They're just not going to sound good, okay? So number one, if it's a minor sounding chord, you need to use a minor sounding scale, meaning it has the minor third in it instead of the major third, right? A major scale. It needs to be a minor sounding scale. Or pentatonic. So it has to do with the flavor of the chord, the flavor of the scale. To study that, Arkin, what I would say is you want to study a little bit of jazz theory. So like something that you could search online would be what scales work over what chords? Jazz. Type all that in. What scales work over what chords? Jazz. And they'll tell you. But essentially major chords, get major styled scales. Minor get minor sounding scales. Now, there's more to it than that because modes bring in different notes that are outside of what we would normally call as being like a normal note. It will typically bend the ear a little bit. So the chord has to match. It can't fight what it is that you're doing. I mean, technically it could, but if you're saying, you're asking how to blend, you're wanting them to blend, you're wanting them to sound good. So technically there is some things that one would need to know, and that's how you would want to search for that, okay? Great question. Okay. Okay. Rich is saying, I do find that learning my hero songs takes the mystery out of it. I'm not sure if it makes me like them less, but maybe just a little. I'm with you, Rich. So it's for me, it's not that I like them less, but it's like this. You're a kid and you see a magician your whole life, right? And then you go, God, I got to learn how to do that trick because it's going to be so satisfying to learn that trick. And then you learn the trick. And then, it's a little bit different with magic because with magic, as soon as you learn the trick, like how it's done, it's disappointing because it literally takes away from the magic. Because you're like, God, it felt so real, you know what I mean? But in actuality, it was a trick. They were tricking me, right? And so there's that. So it's not quite like the magician thing, although And it is in that if you saw that trick again, you'd just be like, yeah, no, they do that. Like you wouldn't care. It wouldn't be impressive at all. The whole point of it being so beautiful is that you have no idea how they did that. And to add on top of it, which is different than music, is you really, to some degree, think that there's magic. You believe in it, right? Whereas with music, it's not magic per se, it's just evoking so many emotions. And then when you can create some of those emotions yourself by duplicating that song or duplicating that lick or that solo or whatever, it's so rewarding. But then it also, just like anything, right? If you eat something enough times, you don't want to eat it as much, it will make you a little bit jaded, But there's a million things to do. So, a million things to learn from. But I'm with you, Rich. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so going on with Arkin's question here, I can play the Dorian, Phrygian, and Dorian. This is a kind of high level stuff, friends. So if you're lost, it's okay. Don't worry about it. She's saying, or he, I'm not sure. I can play Dorian, Phrygian, Dorian, several versions of Dorian, but when I practice over a single chord, it sounds very chromatic and not very musical. Here's why. This is why I teach the way that I teach, and I tell people all the time, and I piss people off because it's not cool. Some of the things that I say, meaning people want to continue the lore of you need to know this and you need to know that if you want to be a great guitar player. And I call BS on it. I know all the things, so many of the things that they talk about, like the modes, the jazz modes and all the keys and stuff. I learned those when I was like 15 years old. And I never used them, hardly ever. I mean, I've used them in 1% of my playing throughout, ever. Okay, and I've played with many different bands and many different styles, played in the studio hundreds of times, and I've just never found a use for them. Now, here's why. There's really two basic tonal centers. There's major and minor, and there's everything in between, but it's almost like when you look at a rainbow, you see the green and the yellow and the red or whatever, you see like three basic colors, but in reality, there's every hue that our eye can see in there, but we're not visualizing, we're not seeing that like that, right? You see the yellow in there. So in the same way, what Arkin is talking about is there are things called modes, and they're basically taking the major scale, starting it at a different place and ending it at a different place, but then taking the construction of that, and that's a new mode. So for instance, if we took the major scale, if we play that from 1 to 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, that's the Ionian mode or the major scale. If we played it from 2 to 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2. Well, that's called the Dorian mode, the B Dorian mode. So it has that kind of sound. And that sound is not quite minor. It's definitely not major, but it's not quite minor either. There's a note there that doesn't really fit the minor scale. So, and sometimes 2 notes and sometimes 3 notes with modes. What they are is the notes are not in the same position as the major and minor. And major and minor are 2 modes, the major being the Ionian, the minor being the Aeolian. Just different names. Don't freak out over any of this stuff. I know some of it's going over your head. Don't worry about it. It's really not that important. That's why I don't teach it that much. But suffice to say, there's 7 notes in the scale, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And because of that, there's 7 different modes. Okay? And so technically each one of those could have their own tonal center, but they don't sound good. Which is why if you take the millions and millions of songs that have been written, maybe 2 of them could arguably have been written in a mode. Okay? Arguably. But for the most part, they're just major and minor. And so, Arkin, what I'm saying to you is the reason it doesn't sound good most likely is you're either doing something wrong, like the chord's not matching the scale, like I mentioned to you, but it sounds like you probably know a little bit more than your average player if you're talking about all this stuff. So what's happening is it's not sounding good because it naturally doesn't sound good. Okay. And people think, oh, if I grab this mode, the secret pick, that all of a sudden everything's going to light up for them. It doesn't work that way. There's major and minor. You can throw in a flavor note every now and then from a mode and it's going to sound good. It's going to make it even sound better maybe. But if you're just playing it all the time, it just doesn't sound good. That's my answer for you on that, Okay. Not a dumb question at all. Suggest top 3 exercises for absolute beginners. SAC. These are all in the course. Exercise 1, which is like this. 1, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Nice and slow though, of course, right? And then there's exercise 2, which is like oh, sorry, no, that's 24 exercises in one. That's that. Then there's dexterity exercise number 2, which is like 2 notes at a time. And then there's exercise number 3, which is stretching. But SAC, 24, so number 1, the first exercise, and 24 of those variations, it could literally carry you for years. And that's in the free course that I'm giving you, so check that one out. But honestly, with exercises, it's like, I would rather see you learning chords. By the way, friends, we're going to go another 10 minutes just because that will be officially a full hour with the roll that we had. I don't know. We might go to 3. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how many people are here. I want to answer as many questions for you guys as possible, Okay. Let's go ahead and take this one right here. Jay is saying, can you speak to all the alternate chords out there? Can I speak to all of them? Okay, all alternate chords. I don't know. I'm finding them so difficult to learn, but so crucial and integral to songs. For example, Steely Dan tunes. Okay, so Jay, here's what I would tell you to do. Steely Dan tunes, yes, Steely Dan tunes. You're going to hear stuff like that. You're going to hear that in jazz-oriented music. So my suggestion for you is, when you say you're finding them difficult to learn, you probably don't mean they're difficult to learn. You're just like, dear Lord, another new chord. I just learned 3 new chords. That's probably what you're thinking. So here's the deal. Just learn the new chord. Okay, just learn the chord vocabulary as it applies to that song. Most likely, unless you're playing jazz music, you're never going to experience those chords again. So it's not like you're going to have to memorize them and devote them to memory, okay? Just remember them for the Steely Dan tunes and you're going to be fine. There's a ton of other like standard chords that you're going to play millions and millions and millions of times. So definitely go ahead with those and learn those. Otherwise, okay, so here's another solution for you. Inside UGS, what I do is I teach you how to formulate the chords in your brain and then formulate them on the guitar through understanding basic principles, really basic principles, essentially the major scale, right? Just understanding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. If it says a G5 add 4, well, then we have to know a little bit about what that means. So a G5 is a G with a 5 in it. So a G5 is just a G with a 5 in it. And what do we mean by the 5? The 5th note of the scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then it also has a sharp 4 in it. So it also has this guy in it. Okay, why do I know that? Because of 1, 2, 3, 4, but sharp the 4. So it has that note in it. So what I would do is I would find 2 places that I could play these 2 notes that are not right on top of each other, and I would learn to assemble the chord. Okay, so I might say, So I might play the chord like this. And so for a lot of you, you're saying, well, that sounds terrible. But in the context of the song, it probably sounds great. But that's how I play that. Okay? Now, if someone said, do you know a G5 add sharp 4? I'd be, well, let me think about it a second, and then I would do this. So in reality, Jay, I know or can formulate probably tens of thousands of chords on the neck, but I don't have them memorized. People go, it's crazy. Is it? If I asked you to count 1 to 1,000,000, could you do it? Of course you could, right? Did you memorize it? Did you sit down and memorize the sequence of numbers at one point? No, of course you didn't. You learned a system. You learned 1 through 10 and moved the decimal over. And that's it. And then you needed to know the names of hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands, 100,000s, million, right? That's it. That's all you had to learn. But once you did that, the rest of it is all repetition. So it's the same exact way when learning how to formulate chords. And that's exactly what I teach inside of UGS. Inside the beginner section, there's in fact, I'll, for those still watching, I guess I could show it to you, but let me see if I can pull this up real quick. If I can't do it quickly, I won't waste your time. But I don't think any of it's going to be wasting your time. I think honestly, you're especially for those that are wondering what it's like inside of there. I'll show you. So basically, once you learn the basic principles of the major scale, then you learn the chord formulas. Like for instance, a major scale is 1, a 3, and a 5. So if you just take the 1, the 3, and the 5 from the major scale, you'll have a major chord. If you take the 1, flat 3, and 5 from the major scale, you have the minor chord. Okay, so let me show you this here real quick. Let's see if I can do this. Okay, now I don't know if this will. Hopefully you guys are seeing. Hopefully you guys are seeing this. I think you are. Okay, so this is inside of UGS. And so right here I have technique. I've got chords. In this section here, I have technique. I've got chords. And so obviously the stuff that you're learning in the beginner section is going to build onto the stuff that you're going to need for your theory and stuff like that inside the chords section. But what we do is we build on top of chords, we learn the formulas, and then before you know it, now all of a sudden you're able to play all of these different chords. Okay, does that make sense? Hopefully you guys heard me during that time. I've never done that before, so I probably shouldn't do that again because who knows? Okay, so he says an A7 sus 4. Okay, so right off the bat, I kind of see that in my mind's eye as like this. Because I've played that one enough. But you learn A. Well, that's an A. This is an A7. This is an A7 sus 4. So you learn little embellishments. It'd be like if someone said, for those that are like, oh my God, you're freaking me out. No. If I said reddish purple, was your brain freaking out? No, because you know what red is and you know what purple is. So you put the two together and you have reddish purple. Or if I said greenish blue, you would know how to do that because you know those two things. If you don't know one of those things, if I said greenish blanc, or if I said reddish, I don't know what that color is. Reddish. If you don't know what is, then you couldn't mix it with red, so you don't have the wherewithal to put the two together. But if you know what the major scale is, and even know what the formula for a chord is, you can make the chord up on right there. And so you don't have to memorize tens of thousands of chords. I never have. I've through time, I'll memorize lots of chords, but I'm able to fashion them very quickly. Does that make sense? That's all you need to know. Okay. Okay, good. So glad that you heard me. Thanks so much for letting me know that. Okay, let's talk to Wayne here. Sent a message just now, but I don't know if it got through. A late starter, 64 years, jazz, smooth rock to my liking. What's your advice for a late starter? Okay, Wayne, Every guitar player first needs to build a foundation because there's nothing different about that. If you're a jazz player, a rock player, a classical player, a blues player, funk player, fusion, I don't care what it is. You got to learn how to fret the guitar properly. You got to learn how to pick the guitar properly. The guitars are almost always tuned to standard tuning, so you need to learn basic tuning, and you need to learn how, what notes lie where. So literally everything that I give to you inside of UGS Standard is where you should start. That's the free course at YourGuitarSage.com/30, or at the very bottom of the PDF that you can get right now for free. In the description of the video, go to the description of the video, which is right underneath. The very first link, you click on that, download that PDF, and it's in there. You can get into the course via that. Start there, okay? And then, if you want to go further, then I would say start learning your jazz chords. I've got a great little course inside of UGS Pro that to me is the coolest version of jazz, which is called swing. I love swing music. I love gypsy jazz. I love swing. And so that's my version of jazz, which you're using all the same chords and stuff. It's just more palatable to me. It's a little bit poppier sounding. So I'd say start there, unless there's a different style of jazz that you want. And then you may find an instructor that teaches jazz after you go through the UGS stuff. You may find a guy or a gal that does exactly what you're looking for, Arkin, thank you so much. That's super, super kind, buddy. How does the blues scale compare to the major minor scales? Could you give a quick intro to blues? Yeah, so if I were to, let's say I use this same scale. That's all the blues scale. That's all the blues scale. Whereas minor would be like. Okay, so that's minor. Major, you really can't use over the top of that because there's not a basis for it. So I would have to use a major chord and then play over the top of that. But essentially, the blues scale, it's more sparse, and it doesn't have. It's just more sparse. It's got the blue note in it. Anything on blues you want to find on YouTube. In fact, I think I have a link for it inside of that PDF. But if you just search, blues, YourGuitarSage, you're going to find a ton of stuff for it. All right, my friends, we're at the 3-hour mark. That's including the pre-roll that I did there. I'll tell you what, I'm going to go another 7 minutes. We're going to do a solid 3 hours for you guys live, not including the pre-roll. I might as well. Another 7 minutes. We could do that. And there's 183 of you still in here, so let's do it. I want to make sure I get your questions answered. All right. So we'll do that. 7 more minutes, friends. But if you got any questions, start with Unstoppable Guitar System Standard. Get in there for free. You have it for life. You don't need your money back because it's absolutely free. If you want to get into UGS Pro, I have ways that you could check that out for absolutely free. Okay? I think we have that set up already. I know we used to do like $1. But I think we set it up recently where you can do it for free. We'll find out. Either way, it's $1 or it's free. If you need your $1 back, I'll give you the $1 back too. But nonetheless, many ways to get in. I've had, dear Lord, through this system, had over 500,000 people go through this already. So it's not like you're the first guy or the first gal. You ain't going to get had. Just about everybody watching here is in the program already, or most people are. If you are, just give a thumbs up, and so they know this is legit and I'm not scamming anybody here. I've been doing this a long time. Got no intentions on doing that. I really love to help people learn to play guitar, man. You know? Yeah, the pre-roll, the videos. That's what I was talking about. All right. I sling low like Paul Stanley. I do that too, man. You're so welcome, David. I really appreciate your gratitude. That means a lot to me. Thank you, sir. All right. I'm looking for another question here. I know sometimes... Oh, it's my buddy. He's at work right now, I know. All right, looking for another question here. If you guys haven't already, too, check out Gabriel the Bull on Instagram. We're doing lots of really cool stuff there. Oh, beautiful. Oh, thanks for the thumbs up. Here, everybody who's in the program. So there you go. So, if you have any questions, if you want to talk to any of these folks, you can always hit them up right here in the chat. Let them know their experience. Ask them their experience of it and what have you. There's a reason why I don't know of any. I know there's a lot of folks who have a lot more YouTube views and what have you than me. That's not been my game over the years. It's been to help students. But as far as I know, I have the most students out of any guitar teacher in the world. So yay for me. It's more what that means is that people like it and that they're learning something. And that does make me happy because I've worked a hard, dear Lord, a hard 10, 11 years on this. That was just building the program. Obviously, my 30-something years before that was all one-on-one teaching, tens of thousands of one-on-one lessons, tens of thousands. So I absolutely know what students are going through. I'm a student myself. Okay, Azrael's saying, any tips on playing funk music? So I don't have really the guitar for it today, Azrael, but it's gonna sound terrible with that reverb. This is not the guitar for it, but when you're playing funk, whenever I think of funk, and I'm not like some big funk player, but what I always think is it has much to do with a steady rhythm hand and playing chords that are sparse, that are typically higher up, and that, have some sort of specific rhythm, like... That's what I'm doing with my right hand. I'm not doing anything different. Just doing that rhythm, but it sounds different. I am emphasizing some notes a little bit more, but it's that straight rhythm that I'm doing there. So just take a chord, learn some funk tunes, play that funky music, or, like there's pop funk songs like that, and then there's straight up funk songs. So Azrael, learn some funk tunes is what I would say to do. That's the best way that you're gonna get good, Incorporating seventh chords in a chord progression. So Lincoln, that's a great question. So a naturally occurring seventh chord is the 5 of the scale. So for instance, if you're in the key of G, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the D, then the D chord a lot of times can be a seventh chord. At least when it comes to like pop, country, funk, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? Or pop, country, that sort of thing. Blues, we use seventh chords almost for everything, right? So you use a G7, a C7, and then a G7. So they're all sevens. But technically that's not right, but there's more songs than not that have that. So one might say which one's right. What I mean by it's not right is it doesn't fit. There's a lot I'd have to explain to make that make sense, but the 1 chord is a major 7 chord. the 2 chords a minor 7, 3 chords a minor 7, 4 chords a major 7, 5 chords a 7th chord. So there's our actual 7th chord, our 1/7 chord. The 6 chords a minor 7. The 7th chord is a diminished, or a, it's actually like a, or what we call a minor flat 5 chord. So, so really the 7th chord only appears in one place, you know, technically. All right, my friends, that is the last question for the day, because I told my wife that I would be 1 hour and I was 3 hours. So she's probably cursing me right now, would be my guess. But I'm so glad that you guys came out today. Thank you so much. You guys were fantastic. We were nearly 400 today. That is beautiful. Love that. Please check out that PDF. It's there for you. Know a few things before you go. There's absolutely nothing that you cannot do, not only on this guitar, but in life, if you get the right information and you apply those things, right? You have to apply it. And nothing's different on the guitar here. I've got the knowledge for you. It's out there. If you apply the things, you can be whatever you want to be on the guitar. But of course, you have to put in the time and you have to put in the practice. That's the caveat. A lot of us don't have all that time. Some of us don't have the resources. You've got the resource. I'm sitting right in front of you and I'm giving you a bunch of stuff for free to get you going. 1,100 something videos on YouTube. I've got the free course. Start at the free course because that's going to establish your foundation. Then you can watch a bunch of videos for free for the rest of your life, or take advantage of the $300 off the Unstoppable Guitar System this week. It will go away. And it's not going to come back again till possibly next year if we decide to do it again. But we typically only do this. I say typically. We only do this one time a year. So there you go, friends. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys. I'm just going to check the chat one more time, see if there's anything else that I need. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for all the well wishes and all that good stuff. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys.